DMase, Fingen and Donick, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen, and Connor Newt here with you. David Janes off for a few days. He told me he was headed to Orlando first to go on a Disney cruise with his family, and then to Disney World. So David Janes confirmed Disney adult. I learned that yesterday.
Did you?
Nothing wrong with that.
Hold on.
Nothing
Who
wrong with
sent? Which one of y'all sent the trailer?
That was me.
To
about the poop cruise.
I can't wait to see that. I am looking forward to seeing that, because that had to be, if there was that had to be the closest thing to like living in you know what than there ever could be.
Okay, so
a ship that just stops in the middle of the ocean.
So Netflix is dropping a anthology series called Trainwreck: Poop Cruise.
Oh, man.
And at first I thought this was a sequel to that Amy Schumer movie from a few years ago. Boy, was I mistaken.
Good movie.
according to the Daily Beast, this is it's just one episode in its 8-part anthology series that details the most bizarre and outrageous media spectacles of the 21st century. The episode centers on the notorious 2013 voyage of the Carnival Triumph, a 4-day cruise from Galveston, Texas to Cozumel, Mexico, carrying over 4,000 passengers and crew that quickly spiraled into chaos after an engine room fire triggered a massive electrical failure. Stranded and powerless in the Gulf of Mexico, the ship's passengers faced even more dire conditions as food supplies dwindled and basic amenities like air conditioning and plumbing ceased to function, sparking a revolt among the frustrated travelers.
Gosh. Wow. That had to be miserable. Miserable.
Sounds
so
awful.
Now we have a show.
Gosh. Did they not have like lifeboats where you're stranded? It's like, okay, let's get these people off the boat, get them on another boat.
You've seen Titanic. There are only so many extra boats.
No, and nowadays there's enough boats for the people that are actually on the boat. The Titanic, there was enough boats for everyone, but everyone couldn't get on the boat.
So it premieres later this month. So on June 24th, if you want to know where Derek Mason is,
I will be in front of that
watching
television.
Poop Cruise.
Yes.
On Netflix. So I'm about to utter a
That's why I can't go on cruise. That's why I will not go on cruise.
Yeah,
I just can't, man.
I am not psyched to go on a cruise.
No, me either.
No. Here is a sentence other than talking about Poop Cruise that I never thought I would utter.
Mm-hmm.
The Indiana Pacers are must-see television. You cannot turn off the television when the Indiana Pacers are on. And I made that mistake again yesterday. I checked the score of the NBA Finals Game 1 a little bit late. Pacers were down 15 early in the fourth quarter. I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed. Then I woke up and saw that once again, Tyrese Halliburton.
Now, that's your fault. That is all your fault.
It is my fault. I should have known better.
Been paying any attention to this?
I should have known better. But Tyrese Halliburton hits a jumper with 0.3 seconds left, giving the Pacers their first lead of the game. And the Pacers take game 1 of the NBA Finals, 111-110. Here's just a sample of what the Pacers have done. And this is why I should have known better. On April 29th, Indiana trailed Milwaukee 118-111 with 34.6 seconds left in overtime and won that game. Halliburton scored with 1.4 seconds remaining. Pacers win 119-118. May 6th, Indiana trails Cleveland 119-112 with 48 seconds left and won 120-119 on a Halliburton game winner with 1.1 seconds left. And then most recently, Indiana trailed New York 121-112 with 51.1 seconds left in regulation. Halliburton sent it to overtime on that crazy jumper with no time on the clock, and Indiana won in overtime. So I never thought the Indiana Pacers would be must-see TV, but with Tyrese Halliburton, guy is as clutch as it gets. This postseason, gentlemen, he is 6 for 7 when taking a shot to tie or take the lead in the final seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime. 6 for 7.
He's clutch.
As clutch as it gets.
Yeah, he's clutch. We haven't seen anything like this in a good while. Maybe because we haven't seen guys have to make clutch shots like this to end the game consistently over the last 10 years. But Halliburton has been able to do that. There was a stat, and I sent you guys. It was 0-182 when teams are leading by 9+ points with 3 minutes left, 3 minutes or less left in a game. When you're down, when you're up 9+ points, you are not winning a game. And Indiana, once again, because I think, didn't Indiana break another record before when they were up?
Again, they were down 9 with 51.1 seconds left in regulation against the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Halliburton hits the jumper that bounces off the back iron, falls down, does the choke sign because he thought it was a 3-pointer. It was a 2-pointer.
So now
they go to overtime and win.
Now they've won one game, and now it's 1-182 or 183, whatever it is. Indiana has been able to do something that a lot of other teams haven't been able to do, and that is to win these close games each and every time. So when you're going into the series and you're thinking OKC should just run through Indiana, and rightfully so, they did it for 3.5 quarters yesterday. But they allow Indiana to stay close enough, and Indiana got enough shooters. And then they got Halliburton that's capable of making that shot. He's kind of like Robert Horry to me. That's just who he's like, Willie. Like Big Shot Horry.
Big Shot Bob?
Yeah, Big Shot Bob.
I played against Big Shot Bob.
Halliburton has
Alabama.
been,
I'm sure he remembers me.
Did he hit the big shot over you?
we had our moments against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
We beat them a couple times. They were really good though, but I don't think you remember me.
Okay. But I mean, Halliburton has been all of that and some, and the only thing that will cap it all off, obviously, is the NBA championship for Indiana. But I asked you guys this question yesterday. Well, today, I think this morning, and I've been looking for the ratings. I wonder what the ratings are for this game, because what I thought yesterday about hockey, then I looked at the ratings and they were low. I'm like, you got to be, and that was a hell of a game.
And we'll talk about the Game 1 Stanley Cup final ratings. I too am interested in the ratings
because
for Game
it seems
1.
like nobody was, and I wonder if anybody is watching because it's Indiana and OKC, two small market teams.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if anyone is watching, especially if they started watching. And then by halftime, like you said, it was like, all right, I'm done with this game.
Well, my favorite part of all of this is that back in April, there was an NBA player poll, an anonymous player poll in The Athletic, and Tyrese Halliburton was voted most overrated by his peers. And Halliburton, as I said, has just been outstanding. And if you're looking, look, we've been having this conversation. We had it a little bit yesterday. I know Jared had it yesterday. I think Robbie and Joe had it a little bit this morning about looking for a new face of the NBA. Why not Tyrese Halliburton? Incredible player, clutch player, good personality, as Connor Newt knows, aspiring WWE superstar. He's been involved in the wrestling world a little bit. Why not Tyrese Halliburton? I know that Indiana isn't the most glamorous place for a lot of people, but why not Halliburton? Especially if the Indiana Pacers knock off the Kansas City Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Why not Halliburton?
He'll never be the face of the NBA. He doesn't. He's not exciting enough during the season. Now you're seeing a Halliburton in the playoffs, but if you watch Halliburton throughout he's a damn good player, but he's not superstar LeBron, KD, Steph. He's not those guys when they were at their prime or they were his age. He's not those guys. He's a hell of a player, but he's not a guy that you would say is the face of the NBA. He would never, even if he wins the championship and wins the MVP, he will never, at least I don't believe, be the face of the NBA because they haven't seen that during the season. If you are the face, you got to be consistent. You have to be dominant during the season and consistent. That's why only few get it.
Legends are made in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, but it's prep during the season. and Halliburton hadn't prepped himself, enough during the season. Now he may as well. Another reason he didn't even win Finals MVP for the Eastern Conference. His teammate won it for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Who was it? Siakam?
Siakam. Yeah, Siakam ended up winning it. So unless it's the same thing with Jaylen Brown and what's the other? Why am I forgetting?
Jason Tatum.
Yeah, Jason Tatum. There's been a while where Jason Tatum hasn't been able to be the face because people don't even see him sometimes as the best player on his team. That's why Jason Tatum, he didn't even win Finals MVP. That's why people look at Jason Tatum like he's a hell of a player, but he will never be the face of the NBA because people still think Jaylen Brown's better than you. Halliburton the same way. They feel they got other players that may be better, have better skills or better talent, but Halliburton is just a solid player that he's able to elevate his game when he needs to or when the time comes for it. But during the season, he's a good player, but he's not like this person that, these kids are looking to be.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals is on Sunday. Willie, go ahead.
I would love to point this out at this moment because, first of all, Adam, I'm still stinging. I'm still in disbelief that you did turn the game off after seeing what the Pacers.
I know. Again, I made a mistake.
This is good TV. I was watching with my family last night, and I got to give my son credit. Mahoney, who's one of his good freshman buddies at Denison, is from Indianapolis. So he's a diehard Pacers fan. I don't know any other diehard Pacers fan. They're out there.
Larry
I mean,
Bird,
we know
baby.
Indiana is basketball. Like we've all seen the movie Hoosiers, right? They love their team there. It's much more about high school and college basketball, but they support their team. But I just haven't run across many diehard Pacers fans. But he's kind of connected to him. But he said, "You watch." Like they were trying to avoid being knocked out early. Like the whole game was like bam, bam. They're just taking jabs. They're trying to hang in there within 8 or 10 points. And he goes, "You watch. They're gonna get back in this thing." And sure enough, all of a sudden, at one point late in the third quarter, they got it to 6. Just for a minute.
Yeah.
It went back to 9. And I'm just like, it's getting a little closer. And then as the fourth quarter is going on, you walk up, you go to the bathroom, you get something to drink, come back like, oh, it's down to 4.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 3. Hey, if they miss a shot here, they're going to have the ball with a chance to tie. It's just like but that's what they've been doing. Like they expect to get back in it. And it's not just Halliburton. The rest of the team is really amazing to watch, which brings me to this. Think about the Nashville connections at the NBA final.
Ben Shepherd.
Ben Shepherd.
Aaron Nesmith. So there's Belmont and Vanderbilt.
But that's not where it ends.
What else?
Jenny Bouchek, assistant coach, Indiana Pacers from University School of Nashville. Longtime, one of the few female NBA assistant coaches. She's coached in the WNBA as well. Great player at USN. So there's another Nashville connection. And you know who the individual skills coach is for Tyrese Halliburton?
I don't.
Among other NBA players, Drew Hanlon, Belmont University. He has made a living. He was a really good player at Belmont, but he's become a guru for a lot of players. And so these one-on-one moves, you notice the winning shot by Halliburton. That was not pass, come off a screen.
No, he took it.
He just said, I'll take the ball. They had a timeout.
He didn't.
They had a timeout, right? Like back in the day, you might call a timeout if you had a Reggie Miller, right? Reggie Miller was a come off the screen, side out of bounds, and we can all picture it. Some of the shots he hit, right? He could be 25 feet out, 30 feet out. He could still hit it. But Halliburton you don't need a timeout.
Yeah.
If he has the ball, it's isolate the guy one-on-one. And he said it after the game to Scott Van Pelt. He said, these shots I'm hitting are shots that I have worked on over and over and over. So it's impressive. And the guy behind the guy is Drew Hanlon.
So what you're telling me is that the Pacers are Nashville's team.
Yeah. Technically, yeah. Now we could say Nashville will possibly get a NBA championship.
Yeah. One other connection from Belmont, our buddy Greg Sage has been doing a good job getting the word out here. Paris Lawson, I don't know if she is there. She is the Thunder's pre and post game show host for their regional, for their FanDuel, basically their broadcast. So A lot of Nashville ties in the NBA Finals.
Absolutely.
More than you think.
And game 2 of the NBA Finals is on Sunday. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight. And as Derek alluded to, the ratings for game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, although it was an exhilarating game, the ratings were not so good. According to Sports Media Watch, Wednesday's Panthers-Oilers NHL Stanley Cup Final Game 1 averaged a 1.2 rating and 2.42 million viewers across TNT and True TV, marking the lowest rated and least watched Game 1 of the Cup Final since the COVID-delayed Canadiens Lightning on NBC Sports Network in 2021. Excluding the 2 COVID-altered seasons, it was the least watched Game 1 since Penguins Red Wings on Versus. Remember Versus, everybody? In 2008. Yes, in 2008. So keep in mind that last year, for example, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final between the same two teams was on a Saturday night on ABC, which is different than a Wednesday night on TNT. But as Sports Media Watch notes, while Panthers-Oilers is a rematch of last year's 7-game Cup Final, it is still a Sun Belt versus Canada matchup. And with every game airing on cable, viewership was a virtual lock to decline from last year's soft levels. Even so, the Game 1 audience may have still come in under expectations, given the storylines, the stars, and the quality of play. And it reminded me, guys, of the conversations we had in the winter about the Four Nations face-off in the great ratings that ESPN got for the Four Nations face-off. And hey, could this lead to more casual viewership of the NHL? It appears that that did not happen. But hockey fans, as you know, Willie, and we are both hockey fans, we suffer from please like my sports syndrome. We want casual sports fans to love hockey.
Right. I'm the same. I get the same way. Remember, we had the Ryan Williams quote. By the way, I went on a sports talk show in Alabama. I didn't go to Alabama, but I did a call in for Huntsville, Alabama, and they asked me about the Ryan Williams. And remember that I got into this whole.
How could they beat? How could you lose to Vanderbilt?
How'd you guys lose to Vanderbilt? You guys must not have been ready to play. How could you come out flat and lose to Vanderbilt? Well, that strikes the chord with any Vanderbilt person. And I think the hockey people have the same chord hit, and I get that same feel. Like, nobody cares about hockey. It's only the people in the arena. Yeah, the arena's filled to the gills, and it's the greatest atmosphere ever when you're in there. Like, but I don't think anybody else is watching. Nobody cares. I don't know anybody that loves hockey. You know, there's always those guys, right? And I do think the ABC TNT thing, I point this out with everything, like not to make excuse, but that directly affects the viewership. Anything that's on ESPN and especially ABC network television is going to grab another level of fan. So I don't think there's all these people who have enjoyed the sport suddenly deciding, I'm not watching. You know, even these are the same two teams. If anything, they're more compelled. But the casual fan, the Edmonton, Florida thing definitely doesn't help. The TV markets, when you have a Canadian market in general, especially Edmonton, you lose a huge chunk there, even with a Connor McDavid presence. And then South Florida, you're not going to get a big audience from there.
Bicycle Boy is on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Bicycle Boy, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Fellas, nice to speak to you again. I, unlike a lot of hockey fans, probably a lot of sports fans that stop watching playoffs when their team is out, I've watched all the playoffs. Was rooting for Florida and Edmonton to show up in the end. Florida, because I love that little ball of hate, Marchand, and the way he plays. But the other night, when the playoffs started last night, or 2 nights ago, we always text my old seatmates up there in Bridgestone. We text each other during the game. Before the game started, I said, I'm rooting for RV and Eki. And man, what a great contribution those two guys had. Really warmed my heart to see them contributing. I don't know how much longer RV's got, but Willie Eki has got to be the most solid, consistent defenseman in the NHL. That guy is just solid. And every now and then he puts one in the back of the net. So I'm rooting for the Oilers, and I'm watching hockey just because I'm a hockey fan.
Thank you for the call, Bicycle Boy.
He hit on a point that's important. That is so many hockey fans, maybe more than other sports, but I think it's going this way in all sports, is they call it provincial. Once your team's out,
You don't watch.
you don't watch all the way to the end. Football has avoided it, right? Football is the best, right, of taking you all the way through. There's less games that you got to follow. But I think it's such a long march to the finish line that there are some fatigued people like,
but it's no longer than
I'm going to start
basketball.
watching my baseball team, or I'm going to get ready for football.
But it's no longer than basketball and baseball.
I know.
So it's like
I think it's happening in baseball more so than it used to a generation ago, for sure.
And one point, I think it was an article in The Athletic, which was interesting to me, is that for the first time in a very, very long time, maybe the first time ever, Boston, the Bruins weren't in the postseason. The Penguins weren't in the postseason. The Rangers weren't in the postseason. The Blackhawks weren't in the postseason. Those big, entrenched hockey markets. And how when you look at ratings in the NHL by city, those cities tend to be near the top. And the story I was reading, the analyst was wondering, usually when those cities have their teams in, even when their teams are eliminated, they continue to watch. Perhaps those big markets like Chicago, like Boston, like New York, because their teams weren't in it, maybe never really checked into the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Maybe.
I did think that was an interesting point. Jackson says, who cares about the ratings? I love hockey. I don't give two thoughts to the ratings. Why should that matter at all to me?
There's the other hockey response that
of
you
course.
get to that.
Right? I get that, Jackson. Again, I say hockey fans, by and large, suffer from please like my sports syndrome, because the ratings are the easiest way to gauge popularity. If people are watching it, it must be popular. If people aren't watching it, it must not be popular.
Because my thing is, you were the only game on television.
Right. It wasn't going head to head with the NBA finals.
The NBA, you wasn't going head to head with a WNBA or a NFL or anything else. You were the only sport game on the television. And it baffles me that you have one of the greatest players, and frankly, you got a bunch of great players on ice, and people aren't watching just for the sure fact that you're getting to watch like some of the greatest play, and the series is going to be a good series.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on the NBA finals, your thoughts on the Stanley Cup final, your thoughts on Poop Cruise. We'll take it all. 615-737-1025. But coming up next, a business person with significant Nashville ties has agreed to buy a majority stake in a Major League Baseball team. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. Tune into 94.9 The Fan tonight, speaking of baseball, as the Nashville Sounds take on Gwinnett at First Horizon Park. Pre-game begins at 6:20 and the first pitch is at 6:35. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. You got it. Poop Cruise. I was like, this is right up Derek's alley. Poop Cruise.
I looked at the trailer. I'm like, oh my goodness, man.
They had to poop in the red bags.
Oh man.
Imagine, like you're a dog. You have to pick up your poop.
You got poop in the bag.
Poop in the bag.
Oh man. It should be rather easy. I mean, just put the bag in the trash can, a little small trash can, and just do your business. Tie it up and throw it somewhere. Throw it overboard.
We don't want to pollute the ocean with all the doo-doo.
Hey, you have a ship, a little smaller ship.
Sounds so bad. That element of it
that's
just sounds so bad. Like, where does all the poop go?
It's like it was coming into their rooms, all the pee and everything else. I'm like, hey, listen, piss overboard.
Peeing is one thing.
Exactly.
There's your man, Stetson Bennett.
Yes, Stetson Bennett, my guy. And see, Stetson Bennett, he was having a good camp, and then ended up getting hurt, and hadn't heard from him. Maybe
Did you think he would be a big NFL player?
No, I said he went to the right team, the Rams. I said he went to the right team. Of course, OC.
Is he still on the roster?
Yeah, he's still on the roster, but he got hurt.
Reinsdorf has agreed to sell the team to Justin Ishbia. Jerry Reinsdorf has had control of the White Sox since 1981, and he likes being in charge. This is the first signal that he won't be in charge of the White Sox very soon. And I say very soon because this sale is not happening right away. As long as Jerry remains alive, he's 89 years old right now. The earliest this could happen is 2029. So 4 years away. Let's get into who Justin Ishbia is. He's a lot younger. He's 46, in his mid 40s, and he's very rich. Estimated net worth for maybe $5 billion, made his money in private equity, and he also came from money. His father started United Wholesale Mortgage. He's wanted to buy a sports team, thought about buying the Twins up in Minnesota, and his brother, Matt Ishbia, owns the Phoenix Suns basketball team. So this is a huge generational shift, a huge change that's coming for the White Sox. Jerry has owned the team or been the controlling owner since 1981, and that's a really long time for somebody to be in charge. Here's what this deal just announced today says about what's going to happen going forward. So really, again, nothing for the next 4 years as long as Jerry stays alive. But then in 2029, Jerry Reinsdorf can opt to sell the team to Justin Ishbia between 2029 and 2033. Then after that, I'm oversimplifying here a little bit. For 2034 on, Jerry would essentially be 100 years old. Justin can just buy the team from Jerry, the controlling ownership.
That was Alex Maragos of NBC Chicago talking about a recent agreement between White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf and Justin Ishbia. Now, Major League Baseball and Nashville have been flirting with each other for quite a long time. They're in that phase where they're liking each other's Instagram posts, but they're not actually speaking. So they know that they're interested in each other, but they're not making a huge deal of it. They're trying to be subtle about it. Although Rob Manfred has mentioned Nashville multiple times when it comes to expansion or relocation in Major League Baseball. So, Willie, like you, Justin Ishbia is a proud Commodore, a member of Vanderbilt's Board of Trust, and a graduate of Vanderbilt Law School. Net worth, according to Forbes, $4.3 billion with a B. So naturally, when a businessman with significant Nashville ties, he's also a minority owner of Nashville SC. So when you think about all of that, people wonder, hey, is this the first step to Major League Baseball finally coming to Nashville?
I think there's a long way to go.
Yes, absolutely.
A long way to go.
You heard what this agreement is.
And Paul Scribina, who knows Chicago,
yes,
he wrote about this in the Tennessean, and I looked at what he wrote there. And if you're wondering if that name Jerry Reinsdorf, if you hear White Sox and you're like, Jerry Reinsdorf, isn't he Bull? Yes, that's the Bulls guy too.
Yes,
and if you watched The Last Dance, which we all did because we had nothing else to do, and it was really good, he was front and center. That's the same guy. Like, so this guy is all about Chicago. He's still going at age 89. But I would say this about something that will pop up from time to time every year. And I don't know when the first time we did it. George was on the show yesterday. He and I have been doing this for 30 years. George longer than me. It always comes up. Can Nashville support a baseball team? I thought for a long time it was just an unrealistic question. I think our city has gotten to a point where you have the makings, but they have lacked the guy that has the resources to do it. And that's what's unique about this guy. And he has said zero about, I'd like to bring a team to Nashville. So it's all speculative on whether he would actually do this. It looks to me like the old-fashioned, this goes back a long way. Bud Adams did it in Houston. Yeah. And they called his bluff. And that's why the Titans are here. But it's hey, you know what? My stadium's aging. And we need a new stadium. Well, that's going to be pretty tough because we got to do this, this, and this in our city. I don't know if I want to do it. Well, that's great. And, the city says, well, you have a pretty decent stadium. There's nothing wrong with your stadium. And the owner says, well, that's all right. but I can move over here to a city that will give me a stadium. And this has happened with the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, hey, in Chicago, the White Sox. But if you look at the history of the White Sox, they have flirted
With leaving
more than once before. So I think that's where it's going to go. And if Chicago as a city finds a way to build them a new park, there's no way that the White Sox will leave. I don't think. That's baseball wouldn't let them do it.
They would
do everything
hard,
they could to stop them from doing it.
It would be hard to
look at the Rays and how long it took the A's to get out of Oakland. Like there was decades before they let that happen. So I think it's not realistic.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to move the White Sox out of Chicago. They've been there since 1901, somewhere around there, 1102. So they're a fabric of who that city is. I know you have the Cubs, but the White Sox are there too. So they're they've been in the fabric of Chicago. And listen, Ishba, he said, listen, I know an article came out or something like that, but I didn't say it was or else. I didn't demand that y'all build a new stadium. Now they understand that the lease is up in 29, so they have to do something. But he said he's not the guy that's saying either y'all do it or we leave. It's been out there, and he may not have to say it. But again, and Chicago understands this more than any city out there because they've had professional teams for the longest. When that team comes into your town, things change. Once you let them in, it's kind of like a vampire. Once you let them in, all bets are off. You can't let them in. You can't. The sports teams are like vampires. Once you let them in, they suck the blood out of your city. They bring in new people, but they suck the blood out of your city as much as they possibly can. They give you entertainment. They give you everything else, but they suck the blood out. But you're in bed with them. It could be good. It could be bad. But that's what happens. So I can't see, because he will go down. If he moves that team, he will go down as a villain forever.
Oh, yeah. He will be dark mode. Yeah.
You cannot go back to Chicago, period. And I don't think he wants that.
Yeah, and he's not from Chicago.
Exactly, but still, you don't want to be able to not go to a city.
And Joe Rexroad, I'm sure, and you will.
Yeah, he's a state guy.
He's a Michigan State guy.
Yeah, so he'll make the right choice.
Which automatically in your book says he must have some honor.
Yeah,
right? He must have some honor to him. But
yes.
I think the thing that I'm intrigued with is, number one, that this guy is in Vanderbilt's court. That's huge. A guy with the interest in sports who's on the board of trust. These are the kind of people that, from Vanderbilt's perspective, didn't exist on some past boards, where you might have a guy raising his hand and go, yeah, let's get the athletic department
guy on the
need.
Board. Yeah.
I can understand what they need. Let's get it to them. Where in the past, we're like, we don't do that for athletes. Why would a basketball coach need to be paid more than we're paying him? We're paying him good money, good living. And that's not how it works. So I think that is helping Vanderbilt, that he's in the boat. His brother is an owner of the Suns.
And the Mercury.
Yep. And the Mercury. So I look at it this way. If he has jumped in there to become gradually the owner of the White Sox, that actually probably takes him out, most likely, of the pool of people that could bring a major league team here. Because what you need, like, people might be familiar with the organization, if you want to call it that, the group, the Nashville Stars, that's been trying to fly the flag for I don't know how many years now.
Yeah, their emails go directly into my spam folder at this point.
Right. They have not been able to build momentum. And the reason why is what? They don't have financial muscle to really do it, to move the needle politically, to say, oh, we're going to build our own park, something like that. This guy, how do you say Ishbia? Ishbia. This guy has the resources to start a movement if he wanted to. So I was intrigued by him. So he's the guy that has the ability to do it. But the fact that he's going, unless he is secretly and not telling anybody, trying to angle his way to get the White Sox and bring them out of Chicago, I just don't think that's going to work. I think it's way, way more likely that in the next however many years, Chicago and the White Sox just figure out how to upgrade their stadium and stay there for another 100
years. They just did it for the Bears not too long ago. But the Bears are a
615.
football team.
That is
so,
true. 615, and the White Sox are not
Yes.
Chicago's favorite baseball team either.
Absolutely.
615-737-1025. Justin Ishbia, Nashville SC minority owner, proud Vanderbilt graduate, boatload of cash.
Hey, don't leave out the Michigan,
Michigan
State.
State.
Yeah.
And
Come on
Michigan
now.
State. I'm sorry.
You better not.
I
And
mean, he is close to DMase and
Man,
I.
come on.
He is Michigan State and Vanderbilt. Is there a better combination out there?
Not that I know
not
of.
on this show.
Exactly.
What about American University? Does he have a degree from there?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
We can find out.
Go Green has a different meaning in this situation. 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Justin Ishbia agreeing in principle to eventually buy the Chicago White Sox, a business person with significant Nashville ties. 615-737-1025. Don't miss out on Nashville's best deals. Great offers for 312 Pizza, Beach Bend Amusement Park and Splash Lagoon Water Park, Central Barbecue, Fog Street Lawn Club, and more. Get them now while supplies last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Happy Friday, everyone. It's Derek Mason, and you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But I got some solutions and I got some answers for you, okay? Because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and it addresses the root cause of weight gain. See, I could tell you about these things because I have been there. Okay, I've been in that office. I've listened to their comprehensive weight loss program. And you know what? It's working for me, so I know it will work for you. You will get a tailor-made nutrition exercise. You'll get your blood test supplements done and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only, because they did that for me as well. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. Talking Justin Ishbia, billionaire, Commodore, Spartan. See, I made sure to get it in there this time.
Yeah. Don't
Nashville SC minority owner who is in agreement with Jerry Reinsdorf to eventually take over the Chicago White Sox. And as Willie referenced, our friend Paul Scarbina of the Tennessean wrote a story about this, and he made sure to mention that Jerry Reinsdorf met with our mayor, Freddie O'Connell, during the 2023 winter meetings, which were held at Opryland, prompting speculation that the White Sox might possibly move here. The team has been seeking to build a new stadium with the possibility of relocation being thrown about if they don't get one. But an O'Connell spokesperson told the Tennessean that the meeting was, quote, introductory in nature. Reinsdorf denied having any intention of leaving Chicago. Quote, I've been reading about how I've been threatening to move to Nashville. That article didn't come from me, but if we have 6 years left, we've got to decide what the future is going to be. We'll get to it, but I never threatened to move out. Doug and Franklin Texan mentioning the Tampa Bay Rays. What about a Tampa Bay Rays move after their stadium/entertainment zone deal collapsed? And the Rays lost their stadium, Tropicana Field, in a hurricane. They are playing, correct me if I'm wrong, Willie, they are playing at the Yankees spring training facility in Tampa, which is across a highway from Raymond James Stadium. But Nashville considered a potential spot for relocation if the Rays had to move on. And that's going, I mean, anytime there is talk of expansion or relocation in baseball, Nashville is going to be on the list. But the introduction of Justin Ishbia, who, as we have said many times, has significant Nashville ties, that adds an interesting wrinkle into all of this.
Sure. You'd love to be able to almost combine the two, right? Because Tampa has been bumbling this for decades, trying to figure out how they get a good ballpark in the right area. That they have missed on both. Like, they had a bad ballpark in not an ideal area. Not that there's anything wrong with St. Petersburg, but to maximize getting the most people to as many games, as many nights as you can, it just is not in the right area. I've been to a game there. It takes a long time to get from Tampa to that game. And a lot of your fan base is in Tampa. It's basically twin cities. St. Petersburg's a pretty big city, but they need both cities to contribute to do it right. So Tampa has been very gettable, but again, with their current situation, who is bringing him to Nashville? Is it Tampa's owner saying, I'll move the team to Nashville? I haven't heard anything like that. Or is it somebody from Nashville saying, I'll buy you guys and bring you here, and we're going to build you a ballpark here? Nothing like that is happening. So Nashville doesn't have the elements that you need to be moving this needle in the direction of eventually getting a team one way or the other.
Adam in Portland is on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Adam, thanks for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, Adam, man. Hey, do you remember? All right, so the NHL Finals just had Game 1. Do you remember Game 1 of the 2017 final?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And then the skate, right? Like, the big deal was the skate. Why are we not like this? I think the Predators, I don't know when this happened in my life. Maybe when, like, very shortly after Willie took over and announced, and I don't think Willie was the full responsible culprit. But I think I start caring more about the Predators than I do the Titans, to be honest with you, because they put me in such a foul mood. To think that I'm having to listen to ownership, like future baseball ownership talk, instead of Game 1 final talk for the Predators, it just blows my mind, dude. And that's no offense to y'all, but, like, we have nothing right now except that. Like, it sucks. Like, when I hear y'all,
so you're not a Nashville
ratings,
SC fan, I guess.
Yeah, you don't like SC?
Not at all.
Or sounds
not one bit. Not one bit, dude. I wish I could be, but no, man. I'm just sitting here like, dude, we should be talking about that skate. Like, we should be a good hockey team.
Right.
Just pissed me
Sidney
off,
Crosby
man.
throwing the water bottle.
We hear you, Adam.
Unfortunately, we understand. I'm sure, Adam.
game yet, dude. I'm not over that skate because it was such a bogus call. I'll just drive around and think about that skate. I'm like, what did they see?
It's been more than 8 years, Adam. I
Yeah,
love your
yeah.
passion, but
Peter
you might
Laviolette-
need to
gotta
move
let
on,
it go.
buddy.
You gotta let it go,
Peter
Adam.
Laviolette-
Thanks for the call,
We
Adam.
Thank
ain't
you.
letting it go, bro. That changes the whole series, man. I'm telling you.
Adam, we have a suggestion for you. Peter Laviolette right now he's between jobs, so he might have some free time. If you can get a hold of Peter Laviolette, he will side with you on this argument because we watched it. I watched it in real time. His protests, not only during the game, but after the game.
Yes.
It was quite spicy. Quite spicy.
Well, I mean, listen, Adam, you're just like Titans fans. They came up 1 yard short, and y'all came up a skate short. So there we go. We all can argue
A
it.
shadow of a skate.
Exactly.
The other question about the whole baseball thing is, where would the park go, right? That's the other important part
And
of
this
it.
is what I wanted to say.
Because it's not going downtown.
Yeah, I want to know. This is what I would really like to know from our listeners, because we've been talking about this, and obviously it's up in the forefront because, you know, a guy with ties to Nashville, Vanderbilt, Michigan State, great, he's going to be majority owner of the White Sox, and now all of a sudden there's ties. We're bringing a team to Nashville. Yes, he may be looking at that toward the end, but I think more than likely he wants to keep the team in Chicago if he can do that. But I want to know from fans, like Nashville people, sports fans, period. Do you really want a baseball team in the city? Because here's the reason. Here's the reason why I ask, because it's like, yeah, we want a baseball team. But you know everything that comes with having a baseball team. Y'all argued and bickered about giving the football team more money to build a stadium. You argued about the soccer team, and then that finally got taken care of. You know, when they bring a baseball team in here, it's going to be the same thing. And Nashville proper isn't that big. Adam just said, where are you going to put the team? I'm sure you would probably find a place.
It's probably not going in Davidson.
Yeah, so my thing is, Nashville residents, do y'all really want a baseball team? Or is it just like the cool thing to have? We're a growing city. But you know, I said it before. I've said this. Sports teams are like vampires. When they come in here, when you let them in, they ain't leaving. And they will suck the blood out as much as they possibly can. So when you hear things, do y'all really want a team? Like, think about it. Do you really want a team, another sports team in the city?
Well, at first I want to read a text from Brian, then I want to ask Willie a question. Brian says, where would they build a stadium? The transportation infrastructure here is trash. Getting downtown for a Preds game is just brutal. You can't even stay for an entire Nashville SC game or you're trapped at Geodis Park. But
I have seen the traps.
Mm-hmm.
So
At Geodis Park.
I have not been to
I've been trapped.
I have not been to Truist Park, the newish home of the Atlanta Braves. It is not in Atlanta, correct?
No.
It's in Marietta, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, it is north of Atlanta, which is, if you're a Braves fan that likes to drive down to some games, it shortens your drive by, like, depending on traffic, like 45 minutes to an hour, because you used to have to drive all the way through the heart of the city to the other side to get to where Fulton County Stadium was, which is, I am old enough to have gone there, and then Turner Field after the 96 Olympics. But yeah, their idea was, let's get out of the city. They built, they call it the Battery, a huge array of shopping and bars and restaurants and places to hang where even if you're not going to the game, you can go there. They don't have public transportation to get there, but it's worked. But Atlanta's pretty unique. I still think that the ideal thing for Nashville would be to have it somewhere adjacent to downtown. But I agree wholeheartedly with the transportation system. That would be a problem.
My question was, what would be the geographic equivalent of Marietta to Atlanta with Nashville?
To me, there's not an obvious one.
Was it Hendersonville somewhere? If you're going north, what would it be like?
Or would you go to Murfreesboro?
Or if you're going south, you go
or do you want to get into, quote, the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Williamson County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't think Williamson County has any. I've not seen any momentum there. Like,
try to put.
Like, I don't think they want it.
Yeah, they probably don't want it.
Like, I think from a fan base and a money standpoint, they could, and a space standpoint, they could probably find.
But they don't want to help fund the team.
Right. That's. I don't think they want to mess with what they got.
Exactly.
Yeah. Quickly, let's go to Larry on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Larry, thank you for calling. Please go ahead, Ark. Yes, go ahead, Larry.
I've been saying for about 10 years, the Rivergate Mall area, north of Nashville, you're closer to the Bowling Green, Clarksville, Kentucky area. I think that would be the ideal location for a new baseball park.
Yeah, that
Thank you,
corner
Larry.
where the mall is at. I mean, the mall is desolate, isn't it? I mean, there may be a couple
I
of
believe
stores out there.
that there is.
Is it a church out there or
I
something?
believe there are plans to redevelop the Rivergate Mall area. I've recently read that. I think they're going to build.
So they already
I don't
have
know,
something planned for that. Okay.
It's a traffic mess right now.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
brutal.
Yes, it is. Quickly, let's go to Bill on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Bill, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Oh, good morning. I think the number of people in Davidson County that really want the baseball team is very small, and the number of people in the outlying counties, the resistance is going to be monumental for folks coming in to try to build a baseball stadium out there. Remember, many of the people who live in the outlying counties have fled Davidson County to start with because of all of this stuff. So I think that the people planning baseball are going to have a big uphill battle.
Thanks for the call.
You're right. Because if you go out to if you put a team out there, what happens? Everything goes up. Property taxes goes up. Everything else. They don't want that. So again, when you say I want a professional team, you got to know what all comes with a professional team, fan. I mean, the politicians, they know, but as a citizen, as a resident of Davis, you got to know everything that comes with this.
Right. It's going to be there are going to be things that are unpleasant for people that aren't baseball people. But I will say this. I love, like, when you drive through it, like I've been yo-yoing up and down between here and Ohio. I know the route very well, by the way, between Nashville to Louisville to Cincinnati to Columbus and then on up to Cleveland. And you pass through, Cincinnati is a town that's somewhat the same size as Nashville, right? It's comparable.
Yeah.
They got the big football stadium right as you come in, right next to the baseball stadium. And then they got their arena, and then they've got their soccer stadium. So they got all that stuff. They don't have hockey or basketball, so they don't have a main tenant in their arena. But it's pretty cool when you've got the stadium right there and people are walking in and out of the ballpark and spilling into downtown. It works so much better, I think, when you're attached to downtown as opposed to out in.
I mean, Bridgestone Arena is the perfect example, right?
And that's why it attracts so many great events. People want to be there because of the fact that you go to your event, you stumble outside, and you got all of this stuff within walking distance at your leisure.
615-737-1025. We have a lot of reaction to this, so we will get to that next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. 1025-1063, The Game. DMase, Fingan, and Donick, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you today. A lot of reaction to our discussion about Major League Baseball and Nashville. Justin Ishbia, a billionaire with a capital B, a net worth, according to Forbes, of $4.3 billion. He's on Vanderbilt's Board of Trust, a graduate of Vanderbilt Law School, Michigan State.
Yeah, don't forget that, man. I know he graduated. I know he graduated from Vandy Law School. Vandy Law School. I know.
You're using the same voice that Willie was using. How
It's a
did you
joke.
lose to Vanderbilt?
Don't take offense to it, people. I'm
Wrong
only
with you
joking
guys?
with Willie.
He also is a minority owner in Nashville, SC.
Uh-oh.
Does that make you feel better, D-Man?
Oh yeah, a lot
Strike it
better.
up.
Thank you, thank you, Connor. I appreciate that.
All right. Now Derek's feeling better.
I feel much better now.
But Justin Ishbia, not to be confused with his brother Matt, who is controlling owner of the NBA's Phoenix Suns and the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury. Ishbia and White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf have entered into a long-term agreement that could lead to Ishbia taking over the team as soon as 2029 or as late as 2034. So we're talking about a business person with significant Nashville ties buying a team that has been connected to Nashville in recent years as the White Sox try to find a new home for their aging stadium. A lot of texters on the text line. Let's start with this one from Al. What was Willie implying when he said people stumble out of Bridgestone Arena? Alcohol? No way.
Some fall.
I think my point was that the distance could allow you to
Yes.
stumble and still be very close
Exactly.
to a watering
To
hole.
another watering
should you
hole.
want to then begin to drink
Or
alcohol.
stumble into your hotel
Yeah,
and go to sleep.
right.
Philip says there's places around Nashville to build a stadium. I think it should be at the old prison off Centennial Boulevard. I prefer a basketball team, and they redo Municipal Auditorium, but that's just me. And remember,
That would be crazy.
there was a contingent of people that wanted to bring the WNBA
Mhm.
to Nashville. Their bid ultimately fell short, at least this time around. But with the WNBA, you just plop them into Bridgestone, presumably. Or I guess Municipal, but Municipal needs a huge makeover.
Forget about that. That's not going to happen.
What, the WNBA?
If you got NBA and or WNBA,
It would be at Bridgestone.
it would be at Bridgestone.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's easy. I mean, it's not easy, but you don't have to worry
You don't
about
have to
finding
build
you
a
already
new
have the
place.
facility.
Exactly.
Yes.
It would just be a matter of working it out
with the
as the
Predators.
tenant,
and
because
Logistics.
just
yeah.
like a lot of cities where the Wizards and the
Mhm.
Capitals play, etc.
right.
Rangers, Knicks, that kind
Yeah,
of
so that can be done.
Sean says no to MLB. Why get in bed with a contracting professional sport? What's the average fan age again? Like 63 or something?
Hey, don't be hating baseball.
Hold on. Okay, is that because again, I
It is an older
tend to
fan base,
I
yeah.
tend to defer to you, Willie. Is that maybe that could be a part of baseball's issue
Oh yeah,
in viewership?
and they're dealing with it.
Uh-huh.
I think a big issue is getting people to play and stay playing
Mhm.
longer than they did a generation ago, 2 generations ago, and not just in the burbs, which
Mhm.
is what it's become. It's becoming a more expensive sport to play, which sucks.
Mhm.
Pardon my French. It used to be much more of a neighborhood, even a city game and a country game.
You're right about that.
It was the national pastime. It's more confined now to, you've heard maybe the term RBI, reviving baseball in the inner city. That's been an ongoing battle that has not been won, right? There's less and less kids, urban kids that play, which they have to continue to address. It's becoming much more of an international game. If you take a look, kind of like basketball,
Yeah.
there's more players around. So the sport is really healthy worldwide, but fan base wise, I think they do have to keep. Now, the things that they've done with the rules, if you look at local TV ratings and attendance, it's very healthy, very, very healthy. They're drawing well, but it's that whole thing of provincial, right? Can you grab the mass audience where everybody around you is like, yeah, are you going, you watching the game tonight? The big game, the All-Star game? That used to be a big yes. The World Series, you watching the World Series? Oh, heck, of course I'm watching the World Series. Now it's like,
what else is
not
on?
as much. But I think in a town, right, when you got a baseball, it's a heartbeat. You got 162 games. It's a summer thing. Is your team in town? Oh, you want to go to the game? It's a spontaneous. It's a little different because it's a daily chapter, more so than any other sport.
Mike in Lebanon says, I want an MLB team, but I do not, in all caps, want the stadium in downtown Nashville or Davidson County. And look, sometimes I grumble when I have to go somewhere outside of Davidson County. Like, I got to go to Murfreesboro. I got to go to Robbie likes,
and that's a problem. Like
Robbie likes to joke that I do not like to leave Davidson County, but I do leave Davidson County, but I sometimes have to grumble like, Murfreesboro, that's such a schlep. And that would be, I think, a barrier.
I think that would be too far, honestly.
Yes.
I don't think Murfreesboro would work just because it's a little too
drive,
far for too many of the people that you would need to go. The guy that, or I don't know if it was a guy. I think it was a gentleman that just texted that said the prison area.
Yes.
Off of Briley. Is that Briley? Not Briley.
Philip says the old
Briley.
prison off of Centennial Boulevard.
I do think in that area, they are reviving a lot of things. There's some really cool places that, unless you're going over there, you don't see. It's not far from what's the area? Sylvan Park. You're not far from there. And there's space out in that area that I think you could build it and you could grab some interest. It's near that tiny little airstrip.
It's by the John Toon Airport.
John Toon Airport.
I'm telling you, they build a baseball. If they get a baseball team in Davidson County, I'm leaving. Not the state of Tennessee, but I'm leaving Davidson County. I'm just being honest, man. Because again, if they bring a team,
I get what you're saying.
They're going to want you to pay for some of it.
And then we built a soccer stadium. And then we built the racetrack.
But the soccer stadium is different because they took over. It was the Ingram.
Yeah.
He took over paying for the soccer stadium.
They turned a big part of the bill back.
Exactly.
And we are seeing it. I don't know how many people listening have been to a soccer game. I've been to a few, and there's no question. You got to know how to play your cards to avoid disaster, or you got to be willing to walk several blocks. So if that's not your
people
thing,
who live by the stadium will allow you to park in their driveways for a certain fee.
$50.
Yeah, and that's, when you have,
I would price gouge too.
Yeah, might as well.
When you have a quote neighborhood stadium, which that basically is,
it is absolutely.
Then everybody definitely has to be creative on how to park and get everybody in and out. And I think when they built it, they were like, you know what, we'll just figure it out. Because that's what it was. They don't have a lot of places to park there.
No.
And if you are parking in a special spot, you're paying pretty good money for it. But either way, if the game is exciting and it goes down to the last minute and everybody leaves at the same time, you better plan on listening to the post-game show or getting your favorite podcast in there or something, because it's going to take a while.
One texter says, between Nashville and Murfreesboro would bring the best attendance and support, combined population index and location for travel. Another texter says, why not buy the super speedway in Lebanon? And another texter says, simple logistics say that the Major League Baseball park would need to be close to downtown simply for hotel rooms, restaurants, and all the other infrastructure that's involved in a professional sports venue. If you think of some of the all-time great parks, they're all in the heart of the city.
Yeah, and can they? I mean, I'm not gonna say.
Well, what would be between Nashville and Murfreesboro? Like, what would be my Middle Tennessee geography?
I think you would have to. You would look at Antioch would be at the edge of Davidson County. Then you would get into Smyrna.
Yeah.
That area, that would be sort of halfway between Nashville and Murfreesboro, Smyrna, roughly halfway.
Well, I remember, you may remember
Laverne.
This happened recently. The owner of the Washington Capitals and Mystics, Ted Leonsis, the Capitals, their arena, Capital One Arena, is right in the heart of downtown DC in the Chinatown district.
Great place.
Great location. Spent many a time there before I moved here. And they were flirting with moving to Northern Virginia. They were moving to Alexandria, Virginia. They were going to build this huge arena, entertainment complex in Alexandria, Virginia. And DC ultimately came to the table, and they're staying in downtown DC, and they're going to refurbish Capital One Arena. But I remember one of the talking points about the Capitals and Wizards and Mystics. He owns all three of those teams. I forgot one. He owns all three of those teams. People were talking about, like, the nice thing about Chinatown, DC is on the DC metro system, it's right in the middle. Whether you're coming from Northern Virginia, another part of DC, if you're coming from Maryland, it's centrally located. If you're moving to Alexandria, you're moving to an extreme end of the DC metro system. Are people who live on the opposite side in Maryland going to schlep all the way from Maryland to Virginia to go to a game? I'm not sure. And that's why I wonder about this.
You don't have to drive through Nashville,
Because,
or Davison.
Wind the clock back before, when I was growing up, and I never went to a game there, but the back then they were called the Bullets. You remember that?
Washington Bullets.
They played in Landover, Maryland.
Landover, Maryland is where the Capitals
and that's
the
where
Bullets
and
play.
that's where the Commanders play now. They will eventually move back to DC.
Yeah.
But they've been playing in Landover, Maryland.
But I think
is
the desire. Okay, so that's was my question.
Yes.
People had to get out of downtown to go there, and after a while, it's like we need something in the heart of the city.
Yes.
It works much.
I think they're taking over the old RFK stadium.
Yeah,
I think it works better when you're in the city.
Yes.
I do, and I know it comes with a lot of
Yes.
stuff. You talked about the vampire.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that you have to sacrifice to do it. Let me ask this too. It's still fairly recent that the Nationals moved into a downtown ballpark. I understand that the traffic is a big issue in our nation's capital.
It's in Southeast DC, in the Navy Yard, in the Navy Yard neighborhood.
It's like the team hasn't been great a lot. They have had.
It's a fabulous place to watch a baseball game.
That's what I understand.
So much
it
easier
looks like
to get
they've
to.
drawn pretty well,
Yes.
and that was a big issue because baseball was gone from the nation's capital for a long time.
They played at RFK for a couple of years.
I did go to a game there with Kevin Ingram. He and I went to a game at RFK. That was not a great place to watch a baseball game, but this one is. So it can be done, right? I'm sure there were people in Washington saying, I don't know if we want to build another.
Well, I'm sure it can be.
And that area, by the way,
be done.
That area, by the way, was not an area a lot of people frequented before that stadium went up. That was an area that you
stayed away from.
Yes.
But I'm not saying you can't do it. Like there's no, I mean, but you know what comes with it if you put it like Nashville proper, with downtown Nashville, basically. If you put it somewhere within that circle. Yeah, it's great, but you know what's going to come with it. It's going to be a lot of congestion. Is that how you pronounce the word? Yeah, congestion. Yeah, I said it right. There's going to be that. Taxes are going to go up. I understand that people say, well, it's going to bring jobs. It's not going to bring livable wage jobs. So each time you say, well, it's going to bring, and I can tell you what else it's not going to bring or what it's going to add.
The economic impact thing, where it's like, this stadium is going to create this much an economic impact and create all of these jobs. There have been plenty of studies that have been done about that. It doesn't usually end up
trade-off.
Exactly.
It's a trade-off.
It's usually better for the person coming in than the people that already live there.
Yeah. The same texter who suggested between Nashville and Murfreesboro said you could also take advantage of the 840 bypass for those outside of Nashville, Lebanon, Dixon, and the Burb. Smyrna would be a great location. But I'm going to tell you right now.
That is kind of the how the Braves
middle point,
right? The Braves, what is it, 270? Whatever. There's the loop. Or 285. I can't 275.
I don't know my
they have a
Georgia.
Loop. There's a loop. They call
interstates.
it inside the perimeter, outside the perimeter. The ballpark is right near the perimeter. So you have the main highway I-75 that you're coming in on and the loop, and it's right there with the two.
What's great about going to a game I love going to Sounds games. What's a big draw of First Horizon Park? It's in Germantown. It's in a happening area. It's a great place. It's just off of downtown. That's great. To the texter's point, if Major League Baseball came here and they built a stadium in Smyrna and someone said, hey, do you want to go to a baseball game tonight? I'm like, do I really want to go to Smyrna?
Well, that will bring up
no disrespect to the fine citizens of Smyrna.
I'm surprised it hasn't already come up, but that is something that generally comes up is if you could wave a magic wand and turn First Horizon Park into a major league facility, that is prime real estate now.
I can't imagine that can happen, right?
I've been told it would be a lot because they've already the infrastructure.
They've
around
built
it,
so much
around it. It would be very difficult.
One texter says that's the 285 loop.
Yeah,
that you're referring.
Yeah,
like that would be great. And that's when we visited First Horizon Park a couple of months ago for Sounds opening day.
Stadium.
We were talking about that, like just the buildings being built behind it.
It's a perfect.
That's
nothing better than the downtown ballpark.
That's something that needed to happen before they built everything around it.
Yeah.
Now
There's not enough room.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
do it
they've boxed themselves
Yeah.
in. But there's nothing better than a downtown ballpark. And look, I know Adam in Portland is still listening, so I know this is going to pick at a scab that you were talking about earlier. But I remember during the 2017 Stanley Cup Final going to a baseball game at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Yeah. You've got the bridge right behind it.
It's awesome.
And
it's nice.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
The people, one texter says, the people of Rutherford County say the same thing about going to Davidson County for sports. That's probably true.
So, yes, I think that's probably true. They got me thinking on the 285 loop. There's a famous story, and when George is on sometime, he would probably remember this. But the Braves, when they played at Fulton County Stadium way back in the 80s, they had a pitcher named Pascual Perez who was supposed to pitch, but because it's a loop, right? It loops around the city, 285. And he got lost on the loop. He missed the turn, and it was like 2 hours after.
Like he was stuck in a roundabout.
Yeah, it's like Chevy Chase in European Vacation. I can't get left. He could, for some reason, he got lost on the freeway, and they're all at the park going, "Where's Pascual?
He's on the freeway.
He's supposed to pitch tonight." No cell phones or anything. He was late. He didn't pitch.
I can understand that. That damn near happened to me when I was playing for the Jets, because we're there where MetLife sits.
Turnpike, baby.
Yeah.
New Jersey Turnpike.
If you don't get out on the right, if you're not paying attention and you pass that exit, boy, oh boy, you got to go. And then you got to come back, which traffic is going to be bad. Boy, I had to pull over, back up when nobody was coming, and get off. Because I said, I'm damn sure not going to miss this game. So it almost happened to me.
Before we get to Ask DMase, which is coming up next, so if you have questions for Derek, 615-737-1025, call or text us on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. There is a question from Craig, a hockey question that we haven't gotten to, and he wants Willie and I's opinion on it. You may have seen this morning that the Dallas Stars fired Pete DeBoer, and I think we could have predicted that after what happened after they lost. Craig wants to know, Willie, do you think there's a chance the Predators go after DeBoer now that he has been let go by Dallas? And does that change the way Marchessault feels if they do get DeBoer? Marchessault played for DeBoer in Vegas, just throwing that out there. But the idea of DeBoer being available, I can't imagine at this point, after how staunchly Barry Trotz backed Andrew Brunette, that they're going to move off of Brunette.
Well, that's not going to happen right now. There's no question about it. Pete DeBoer is very similar. And I think we were a little conservative with hey, I think Jake Ottinger is going to outlast Pete DeBoer. Remember after those comments that he made after?
Yes.
Like, hey, that's going to come back to bite him at some point. I didn't think it would be like 2 weeks later where he is gone. But Pete DeBoer has been a lot of places, right? He's a little bit like Peter Laviolette. He's gone to a lot of places and won, and then he's moved on for one reason or another.
He has been to the conference final 6 of the past 7 years
with multiple teams.
He's
taken a lot of teams a long way. I don't think he's won a cup, has he?
He has not won the Stanley Cup. He has been to the cup final twice, with the Devils in 2012 and the Sharks in 2016.
So he's a consistent winner. So here's what's going to happen, and I think you can book this. When Barry Trotz decided to bring back Andrew Brunette, we said it's not in the Predators' control. In Vegas and all these sites that do prop bets, Andrew Brunette, whether he likes it or not, is going to be towards the top, if not at the top of the list of coaches on the hot seat, right? They have these things. Who's on the hottest seat? What are the odds? Who's the first coach that's going to be let go? Andrew Brunette's going to be way up there, right? And then on the other list of who's the coach most likely to be hired between now and December 1st or November 1st, Pete DeBoer is going to be at the top of that list as long as he is unemployed. Is the Boston job still
No,
open?
Marco Sturm.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So there are no openings in the NHL right now.
So DeBoer can sit back.
He has 1 year left on his contract.
He's getting paid. He can do a little radio. He can do a little TV. He can hang out and just wait for the phone to ring because somebody is going to probably call him, right? So if you want to put 2 and 2 together and say, hey, they're going to fire the coach on November 1st and they're going to hire this guy, I can see you, but it's not going to happen now. right?
Yeah.
It's not going to have anything to do with Marchessault, right? It's going because I think the Marchessault saga is going to be how relevant are these things that Elliott's putting out there, and is he really on the trade block? His no movement, all of these things. That is something to watch in the current. The coaching thing is way down the road because Andrew Burnett's going to be given a shot to make this right. And there's not going to be pulling the plug and doing a 180 during the offseason. They've made their decision for now.
My friend Sean Shapiro, who used to cover the Stars and still does cover the Stars, he has his own Substack and he does some other stuff in Dallas. He writes, quote, DeBoer is very similar to a taskmaster manager in soccer, someone who can win and drive a team to the next step, but might not have the staying power because of his abrasiveness and how he wears on teams. Sounds familiar.
I was going to say, I think there around sports, there are coaches like that.
Yes.
Peter Laviolette is who you're thinking of,
Yes.
and there's no question he's got some of that. He has got a 5 and dive if he lasts 5. Sometimes it's a 3 and dive, right? 3 years, you do your thing.
DeBoer was there for 3 years.
You have success, and you wear out your welcome. You move on, you have success somewhere else. Billy Martin was always the one that could do it in baseball, and many times with the same team. The Yankees kept firing him and then hiring him back. He could give you a lift. You could probably make a list of coaches like that around sports.
615-737-1025. It's time for Ask DMase. So call us, text us, 615-737-1025 for your questions for Derek. PFL World Championship semifinals are Thursday, June 12th at Municipal Auditorium, and you can be there. Text in the keyword MATCH, MATCH, to 615-737-1025 to be entered to win a pair of VIP ringside tickets. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more details. It's time for Ask DMase on DMase, Vingen and Donick. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen. Call us, text us, 615-737-1025. If you have a question for our all-pro wide receiver, let's start with Dylan on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dylan, thanks for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, hey, DMase. So my question for you is, what position group do you think is going to be the most important for Cam's development throughout the season? Do you think like the tight end room needs to be on top of their game, the receiving room, or the running back room? And that's kind of my question. Which one do you think needs to have like a standout season in order to help Cam progress as a quarterback?
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan, for the call. Obviously, the first one, and I knew this was the obvious one, the offensive line. So, Dylan, I know that's why you didn't throw that one in there, because that's the obvious one. But I think because we discussed, X factors, who can be an X factor, and mine was the second wide receiver, whether it's Vance Jefferson or somebody else, Tyler Lockett, somebody needs to step up and be a bona fide number two, because I think that helps Cam Ward in his development. Because if he only has one guy that he can depend on all the time, believe me, I've been through this with young quarterbacks. When they only have one guy, it tends to get frustrating because that other guy hasn't, really stepped up yet. And once teams figure it out, what they're going to do is they're going to force you to throw it to the other guys, or at least they're going to try to. And if you haven't built any rapport, if that guy hasn't gained your respect, that becomes frustrating for a quarterback. So to me, because I picked the X factor being that second wideout, I would think the wideout position outside of the offensive line, the wideout position to me is that second guy is going to be critical. Listen, running the football is a first, and I know that's what the Titans are going to do. And if Pollard has to run, then so be it. But man, they're going to need a second option at wide receiver for this thing to really, jump off.
Andrew from Dover says, "What is your favorite Bruce Willis movie?" His is The Fifth Element.
Ooh, Bruce.
Mine's not the best Bruce Willis movie. Are you kidding me?
Other than you got to throw Die Hard in there,
of course.
Yes.
But mine was what's the name of it's not Signs. I was thinking Signs, but that was a good movie, more Alien.
The Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. Yeah, that was because when I first saw the movie, I didn't know that he was the one that was deceased.
Okay, hold on. You just spoiled it.
No, Willie, because
The Sixth Sense came out more than 25 years ago.
Absolutely,
So
Willie.
If you haven't seen it by now,
exactly.
Sorry, not sorry.
You can't watch it. You can't
Willie,
watch
sorry,
it
not sorry. But it's been out 20 years.
You know what's
Willie?
You can't spoil the movie.
You know what? One of
There's a statute of limitation.
How many
okay?
years? How many years is it?
5 years. That's
5
it.
years?
Yes.
Okay.
That movie came out in 1999.
I saw it in the theater.
You know what's another good Bruce Willis movie?
Uh,
It's not his best movie. It's nowhere close to his best movie, but it's the one that if I see it on TV, I will stop to watch it. The Whole 9 Yards. With Matthew Perry and Amanda Peet.
yeah.
I have not seen that.
I'm not sure.
I'm
if
going
I can.
Die Hard. It's the low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
you can't beat Die Hard.
Oh, how about the Expendables? He was in the Expendables, wasn't he?
Who wasn't in the Expendables?
Bruce Willis. Yeah, I love the Expendables. Loved it. It was basically it was what it is. It was really it wasn't a huge movie, but I think they do have a cult following.
Okay, here is the ensemble cast of the original
Yes.
Expendables of 2010. Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Terry Crews, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mickey Rourke, and Bruce Willis.
Mickey Rourke.
Now, that's something you will rush out to go see? Probably not. But, I mean, if it comes on, I will stop to watch it.
Brian on our text line says, I've heard people talk about having a financial advisor / no man when it comes to buying certain things. Did you ever hear anybody ignoring their advisor and buying something absolutely crazy? If so, what was it?
I don't think because guys, you have certain guys that will share certain things with you, and guys tend to stay away from the financial stuff. At least that was my thing as far as players. But in my household, it was, if you like something, let's think about it 24 hours. And if it sort of dissipates any, then that means you really don't want it. But if you still sort of, then okay, now let's talk through how you know, good would this purchase be for us moving forward. So, and that was with big purchases, nothing like $100 here, $1,000 there. No.
Let me piggyback off of that. What was the first thing that you splurged on for yourself when you got your NFL contract?
A house. We built but purchased the land, a new home. Anything outside of that, no, it was
no regrettable electronics or vehicles or
no, it wasn't because we didn't go crazy and buy all these things. Now, gave my parents some stuff some money to renovate, portion of their house. Gave her mom some money to her mom and dad some money to do some things or purchase a house. But outside of that, man, no, it wasn't, but let's purchase a house first, because the house we had, it was nice, but we were a growing family.
Quickly, before we go to break, one texter asks, did you back in today, DMase?
I don't think I'm going to believe it wasn't a texter. I think it was you, Adam.
There it is, right there.
Okay. No, because of where I parked. Because of where I parked.
Willie,
where do you think I parked? Where do you think I parked?
Willie, did I tell you that
the
day after that, where he chastised the both of us for pulling in instead of backing in, I left the studio. I walked downstairs that same day. I walked downstairs, and lo and behold, Derek Mason pulled in. Yeah. He spent that whole time yelling at us, and he pulled in.
And what did I do? I accepted it. But I explained. I said, on that corner, right there on the corner, that parking space on the corner, you cannot bag in. Because it's awkward getting out if you bag in.
Excuses.
So I just pulled in so I could, I ain't even got to back up to pull out. I just turn it a sharp turn. I'm good.
615-737-1025. We will get to your questions for Derek on our phone and text lines coming up next. Again, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063. The Game. DMase, Finnegan, and Donick, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. A little maudlin there, Connor.
Babyface. You don't like Babyface?
I don't know if I know this song. Which song is this?
This is How Come, How Long
Okay.
with Stevie Wonder.
Hey, there you go.
It's usually a little bit more upbeat during Ask DMase, so I don't want to bring it down.
I mean, you know.
It's soulful.
It is soulful. That is true.
It's in my soul now.
Let's go to our friend Eric on our phone
Eric.
line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Eric, your dad joke and your question, please.
Well, first of all, before I get to that, I just wanted to give you guys an update. The job, unfortunately, I applied for fell through, so I'm still kind of looking. So
Good luck. I hope it works out.
Exactly.
yeah. Well, I hope you guys like this dad joke. I'll admit off the top, it's real corny and it might be a groaner. So, but it's
corny means
Exactly. It's good if it's corny.
What
Yes.
good dad joke isn't corny?
okay. What is a tornado's favorite game?
Twister.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was an old one, man.
yeah. Okay.
They were all over that one.
Yeah. Hey guys, and speaking of dads, because of course you got Father's Day coming up, so I'm a little bit early with this, but and Willie, you could answer this too. What would you say was your favorite memory as a father? It could, or as a son, it could be either one. As you know, a Father's Day that you spent with your dad, or remember one with your dad, or as a father for your children. What would you say is your favorite Father's Day memory? I mean, you can answer one or the other or both. Just however you want to answer it. Guys, y'all take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric. Derek, why don't you go first?
Every Father's Day. Thank you, Eric. Every Father's Day, and I honestly mean that. Every Father's Day that I became a father. The day I became a father, on that Father's Day, each and every one of them have been special. I don't think there's one that has been better than the other. So each Father's Day for me has been great. So that for me, my kids, they're wonderful. They always make sure dad is taken care of on Father's Day, even outside of Father's Day. But yeah.
How about you, Willie?
I don't have one that just pops into my head. I've had a lot of good moments. There was one, I want to say several years ago, where we had a great generation thing going.
Mhm.
My son, I think he was 11 or 12 years old, and he was playing in a baseball tournament, and I was there, and both of his grandfathers were there in the stands. We had a great picture of all of us, like kind of dialed in watching the game, like from the stands. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's an iconic photo, but it's one that breaks through the, you get all the pictures on your phone. And some of them you're like, oh, that's a nice picture.
But that one is
some stand out. You're
Exactly.
like, you would put that in the proverbial album, right?
Yes.
All of us just locked in, like,
it's an iconic
try
picture
not
for
to
your
yell out,
family.
keep your feet moving, or keep your hands back, follow through. Luckily we didn't.
Oh no, all
Didn't
three
have
y'all
anything
were
like that.
y'all were screaming different things.
Right. No, hopefully we had good decorum at this, but it's a good picture.
So I am a young father.
Yes.
This will be my third Father's Day. So I don't have any true Father's Day moments yet, just because my son was too young to really understand what Father's Day was. I was just happy to be a father. By the way, quickly, I do have an update. So remember yesterday at the beginning of the show, my wife texted me. She was in the car with my son. And she said, we're listening. And Arla says, Derek is bad and Willie is good and Daddy is bad. So I got
I really like that.
I know you did.
So I asked Arlo about it, and he pled the fifth. He just decided to go do something else. He didn't listen to me. But then I asked my wife, and I said, why did he say that? And she said that we were listening, and Derek was talking, and he asked, who's that? And my wife said, Derek. And my son said, he's bad. And then Willie talked. And then Arlo asked my wife, who's that? And she said, that's Willie. He goes, he's good.
Of course.
And then I started talking. Who's that? That's Dada. He's bad. Oh,
man.
Are
I
you
gotta
sure
talk
he
to
didn't mean
Arlo.
like bad as in
No.
Bad as good?
You don't know what he
Good
meant.
bad?
No,
I need to talk to Arlo.
You
bad.
can
I
talk
gotta
to Arlo. You
Yeah,
can
I need
talk
to talk to Arlo. Arlo and I need to become friends.
He'll run you ragged. Let's go to Nick on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Nick, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
All right, I got a good dad joke for you. Typically, they're not knock-knock ones, but I got a good knock-knock one.
Okay.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Boo hoo.
Boo hoo hoo.
Sir, you could come in, but that owl of yours has got to stay on outside.
Yeah, that's an old one. I've
That's
heard
an
that
old
one before.
An oldie but goodie.
The one I remember as a kid was, "Don't cry, it's only a joke."
That's where I
That's what
thought
was
Nick
thinking,
was
yeah.
going, to be honest.
I think that's
Well,
kind of like
that's
nobody
good.
wanted to dive into the trap. You decided to take the
Yeah,
bait.
you took it.
Adam took
Well,
the bait.
It was
Derek-
the second who.
Derek wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, I wasn't going to take the bait. I was waiting for
All of
yo.
a sudden, it was not Ask DMase. DMase backed out.
Well,
Go ahead, Nick.
Happy Father's Day, you guys.
Thank you.
You got a question? Oh, that was it. He just had
Yeah.
a dad joke.
He just had a dad joke. Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
I told Derek I would have a question for him.
Okay.
So as we discussed before Ask DMase, the Dallas Stars fired their coach Pete DeBoer. Their GM Jim Nill is holding a news conference right now talking about that decision. But he's also talking about all of the injuries that the Stars dealt with in the postseason, because as you know, once the playoffs are over, teams will be a bit more open and honest about the injuries. So Robe Hintz, the Stars' top center, according to Taylor Baird, I want to say, she reports on the Dallas Stars. Robe Hintz, broken foot that required 2 days of vials of blood being drained to get it to stop bleeding. So what was the nastiest injury situation that you had to deal with, Derek Mason? And for those of you eating
For
lunch,
me?
please put down your food. If you're faint,
me personally,
yes.
Um,
Did you ever have to have 2 days of vials of blood being drained?
Oh man,
Okay.
goodness gracious! I hope he's all right, man. Shoo.
I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah. I would say one for me. It wasn't gruesome, but man, oh man, it hurt bad when I got undercut going up for a ball. We were playing Houston. This is when I was in Baltimore. We're playing Houston. He undercut me. It was a legal play because he was out of position. He was just trying to dislodge me from the ball because the ball was high. So he hit me underneath, and I came down on my shoulder, like my elbow, and it jarred into my shoulder. I dislocated my shoulder, tore a rotator cuff, broke scapula.
Ugh.
Man, you talk about somebody that was in pain on the ground. I was in so much pain, I think I may have forgotten where I was. That's how much pain I was in. And they end up popping the shoulder back into place, and we end up going to the locker room. Fortunately enough for me, I didn't miss a game, end up catching a game-winning 2-point conversion, came back in the game. So that was great. But the grossest thing that I seen, I was walking in the locker room. This is when I was here at the Titans, and big Bruce Matthews. Bruce had bad knees, man. If y'all didn't know, toward his later years, Bruce had bad knees. I think, Willie, you might have known about Bruce's knees. He had so many injuries, man.
But
He had
never
played
missed a
28,
game.
but he never missed a
missed a
game
game.
at all. I walked in one day in practice, and they were removing like cc's of like just fluid that had built up in his knee.
Ugh.
And I'm like, and you see the fluid inside this needle, and it's
Yeah.
huge. I'm like, I wanted to pass out.
Really?
I'm like, and he's just sitting there taking it. He's just like, whatever.
Like it wasn't the first time.
Yeah,
they were
like it
doing
was,
that.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't the first time, but it's the first time I seen it. I said, Yeah, I don't want to play that long where I have to have that happen. No,
Ugh.
I don't want.
Ugh,
Nope,
man,
that was.
I-
Oh my, ugh,
That was tough.
gross.
No, that's bad.
Yeah, so that's
bad.
probably something I wouldn't want to see again.
One texter says, DMase, do you like to gamble? If so, what's your game? And what is the most amount of money you've ever won at a casino in one day?
I'm not a big gambler. I'm not, but I do play blackjack every once in a while. Not a master at blackjack. Do play. I remember going to it was one of the islands. No, where was it? I think it may have been not Jamaica. What is Atlantis?
That's in the Bahamas.
Yeah, Bahamas. And they had just built. So this was years ago. Kids were little and everything. So put the kids to bed. And I told Marcia, I said, I'll be back. I'm gonna go down to the casino. And I took a couple dollars down there. And I planned on just using that money. Once I lost it, I think it was like $300-400. Once I lost it, I was done. I was walking away. Well, I didn't leave. I stayed there for a good while. I ended up winning like $7-8 grand. And left and went back to the hotel room. But we would play a game called Boo-Ray. And boy, oh boy, I can't tell you how high those Boo-Ray pots used to get, but they used to get high. And
I don't know that game.
I've seen it's sort of like spades in a sense. It's all about suits and no, it's more not spades. It's more like black. Nah, would it be? It's more like blackjack. Yes, I guess it would be more like blackjack. Where you get dealt 5 cards and you could discard some cards and say if I want to discard 2 cards, I can discard 2 cards and then get 2 cards. But the trump is whatever the dealer picks. Whatever he has, he picks trump. That's what the trump is. So you basically gotta try to get win the game based upon that. But yeah, I've seen some money. I've seen the pot get very large, and I'm talking about in less than an hour. Less than an hour, I've seen that pot get,
I remember
pretty large.
During Stanley Cup Final Media Day a few days ago, because remember, the Florida Panthers have to fly all the way to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is not a short flight. And the players were being asked questions about what they did to pass the time. And apparently there was a big poker game, which happens a lot on flights, not just in the NHL, but across all sports.
I have seen in more than one sport card games or poker games that are so intense, shall we say, that the guys want to
you stay on the plane,
or
you take it from the plane to the
minor
bus.
league baseball player. Like the players wanted to stay on the bus.
Yes.
Like, dudes, we've been on this bus for 8 hours. Let's get off. Same thing with the plane. Like, guys, we're leaving.
We got to finish this game. We got to finish it.
Right. We're not leaving.
Got to finish the game.
Apparently, Brad Marchand cleaned up and said that the IRS might be coming after him after how well he did in that game. 615-737-1025. The Pittsburgh Steelers can stop pretending that they like Mason Rudolph. And we'll discuss that coming up next. The worst kept secret in the NFL is out. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. 1025-1063, The Game. DMase, Finnegan, and Donick, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt with you today. We will take it to the bank at the end of the hour. But before we get there, the worst kept secret probably in all of sports, it was revealed yesterday when it was reported that Aaron Rodgers has agreed to terms on a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The news comes more than 80 days since the start of free agency and 70 days after Rodgers visited the Steelers. Sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter that Rodgers plans to fly to Pittsburgh today and join the Steelers ahead of next week's mandatory minicamp. And again, everybody knew this was coming. As I said, the Steelers were pretending it's a bit of a joke, but Mason Rudolph was the de facto starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek really didn't like Mason Rudolph. I said, what if the Titans' next quarterback was Mason Rudolph, but with a mustache? And you were like, no, you said you had nothing to do with Mason Rudolph. So the Steelers brought back Mason Rudolph, and they pretended that Mason Rudolph, they were okay with Mason Rudolph being their starting quarterback, but we all knew it was going to be Aaron Rodgers. And I'm fascinated, Derek, by the union of Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. Just interesting personality dynamics there, I think. I'm curious how this is going to go. I know it's an upgraded quarterback. I don't think it makes the Pittsburgh Steelers a contender in the AFC, but the dichotomy, I guess you could say, if that's the right word, between Rodgers and Tomlin is something that I am fascinated to see how all that unfolds.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be bad at all from this standpoint. I think when Aaron Rodgers walks into the building, it's not like the Jet building. And, it's not like the Green Bay Packers situation. When you walk into Pittsburgh, everybody knows there's one voice and there's one voice only, and that's Mike Tomlin. Now, Mike Tomlin may put up with a few things, but there's immense respect for Mike Tomlin and what he has done, not just in that building, but across the league. So I think Aaron Rodgers walks into a situation where, for the first time, he's walking in where the guy already has cachet. The guy already has skins on the wall. He already has, what you were searching for so long, and you end up getting it. So he has one of those too, a Super Bowl ring. So you can't walk in there. Then he's dealing with an offensive coordinator that is well respected, in the circles, the football circles. So when you walk in, as Aaron Rodgers, you can't walk into it demanding things. And, this is the way, it's either my way and we're changing up the offense. No, Arthur Smith has an offense that has been tried and true. It's worked. And you can help enhance that offense with your ability. So whether whether Pittsburgh get past the first round or not, I do believe with Aaron Rodgers, now they put themselves back into the mix as far as, not only getting to the playoffs, but possibly even winning. They can go on a good roll and win that way, because two things are tried and true with Pittsburgh: defense and running the football. And they've always, since I've known this team, they've always had either both or one or the other. They have both now, and now they've added a quarterback. I know many don't like him. Many believe, hey, he's too old. He still can get the job done, and Mike Tomlin in that organization understands it. Will they win the Super Bowl? I don't know, but I think this is a better team now than they were with Mason Rudolph.
By the way, Willie, as fate would have it, Week 1, Steelers at Jets. Aaron Rodgers against the New York Jets. Our old buddy Mike North, he was onto something when he helped schedule the 2025
Mike
NFL.
North, he's really smart. Didn't we say that? We love Mike North.
You brought him back out. I thought we forgot about him.
No, Mike North will always be a character on this program.
Has he dropped a podcast today to talk about this?
Oh man.
The scheduler guy.
Yes.
So that would be interesting to see, that first game of the season. But for whatever it's worth, I think Aaron Rodgers still has enough game in him that he goes to a situation. He couldn't go to a situation where he had to be the savior. He just couldn't do it. They tried it, with the Jets. And I'm not going to, the first year, no, because he got hurt.
Right.
But they chose to run it back again. And they saw that, even Aaron Rodgers, the great Aaron Rodgers, couldn't get this team to the next level, couldn't even get them to the playoffs. So he's coming to a better equipped team with a much better head coach and a better organization. So I think it worked from this standpoint. I think Pittsburgh gets into the playoffs and possibly, I think they would win a round one game.
When was the last time the Steelers won a playoff
game?
Ooh,
it's been a long time, man. It's been, I think since the year they went to the Super Bowl with Tomlin.
They lost in their last 4 appearances in the playoffs. They lost in the wild card round.
Mm-hmm.
They lost in the divisional round of the playoffs at 13-3 in 2017. They lost in the conference title game in 2016 to the Patriots.
Okay. And I 100% agree with the Steelers are different.
Mm-hmm.
They do things different. And we're all going to be watching to see, is Aaron Rodgers going to become a Steeler?
Mm-hmm.
Or is Aaron Rodgers going to come in with here's how Aaron Rodgers operates? Steelers, you guys need to adjust to the way I do things. Or they've got to blend, right? They had to have had this conversation internally before they decided to do this. So that's intriguing. Here is what I think is probably more probable than not. And this is why the tough thing about quarterbacks is you're always searching for somebody better if you don't have the guy. And what they had last year worked pretty well. They probably overachieved to do what they did. And now they're like, but that's not quite good enough. So we got to let's try Aaron Rodgers. They're much more likely to slide back, I think, with the 41, whatever he is now. He's likely to take another step down. They're not a great team around him. So I think it's much more likely that the Steelers have a losing record for the first time in forever than they have stepping up and being better than they were last year. But it's the gamble they were willing to take because they weren't willing to sit there and say status quo.
So Mike DeFabo, who writes about the Steelers for The Athletic, writes this: Rodgers is a different quarterback, but the Steelers have been here before, relying on an aging, past his prime veteran and expecting the NFL's highest paid defense to prop him up. They tried that model last season with a 36-year-old Russell Wilson, and before that with a late 30s Ben Roethlisberger. In both instances, the results were a mix of flashes and fool's gold. Is adding Rodgers doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
I think, could it end up that way? Yes. But I don't think just throwing that out blanketly, and I think every situation is different. Ben Roethlisberger situation, he couldn't move. He couldn't do anything, man. I mean, he was just basically a statue, like literally. Russell Wilson, he held on to the ball too long. He had his own issues. He could move around in the pocket, but at times maybe you should have gotten rid of the ball. You should have gotten rid of the ball. I think Aaron Rodgers is different from both of those situations because Aaron still possesses the ability to move in the pocket. I'm not saying he's going to be running around, but he has the ability, and he showed it with the Jets. He has the ability to still move around in the pocket, something Ben Roethlisberger couldn't do. And then he has the ability to get rid of the ball early, and the way he sees the game is so much different, and I think better than Russell Wilson. So he's not Russell Wilson. He's nor is he Ben Roethlisberger or Russell Wilson. That's why I say when you make that blanket statement, I think there's more nuance to it because he's neither one of those guys. He still can move in the pocket, and he's a better decision maker at this point of his career than Russell Wilson is at this point of his career. I think that's why it will be a little bit different.
So you look at the Steelers. I would say the Steelers have a potentially great defense. when you're the Steelers, you always have the
Mhm.
potential to have a great defense. You have TJ Watt, you have Cam Hayward, you've got Minka Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr. Good enough pass protection, although the Steelers did lose Dan Moore Jr., who's now here with the Tennessee Titans. He has DK Metcalf, but they traded George Pickens. So that was the question, right? Before that trade was, well, Aaron Rodgers, he'll have George Pickens, but who else does he have to throw to? Well, they acquired DK Metcalf, and then they traded George Pickens. So it's sort of the same question. Well, he'll have DK Metcalf to throw to. And I'm curious, Derek.
But he has a hell of a tight end.
And
hell of
Pat Freiermuth.
Yes, hell of a tight end.
And then, of course, Tomlin, who has his teams mostly competitive, at least record-wise, every year. I'd be curious for your opinion on the dynamic between Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf, if you think that is a partnership that could bear fruit.
I think it can, and I think it will. DK is a hell of a player. And I think Aaron Rodgers needed someone like DK. Yes, he had Adams, but as good as Adams is, there was just something about that whole dynamic, especially with the Jets, that it was just it just seemed kind of off. It didn't seem like the Adams and Rodgers in Green Bay. I think in this situation, you have two guys that are trying to prove themselves that they can still play. DK I think they just redid his contract. So he's gotten a bigger contract. So he wants to prove that he's worth that. Aaron Rodgers obviously wants to prove that those days in New York wasn't who he truly is with the Jets. So I think those two guys have something to prove. And DK has never been sort of like this problematic guy for a quarterback, nor has he been a problematic guy for a team. It's better for him to have DK than I think. I think the reasons they traded away Pickens was because Aaron Rodgers. They knew it. Like, we can't have this. Because eventually Pickens was going to get upset. That's the same thing they sort of kind of ran into last year with the Jets with their top receiver. He felt he wasn't getting the ball enough. That whole dynamic between him and Adams. I think Pittsburgh was like, we need to get him out of here. We can work with DK. We got us a really good tight end, and we got some other guys that can play at the receiver position. So let's do it that way. I think that 1-2 combination is going to be a surprise combination from this standpoint, the yardage and touchdown. I think DK will end up having like 1,400 yards, double-digit touchdowns in this system. Because one, I love the system that is being ran with Arthur Smith. I love it because there's a lot of play action, get big shots down the field, those deep crossing routes, all the stuff that he loves to do, and in connection with the running back. So I think this is going to work out well for Pittsburgh because they're going to mix some of what Aaron loves to do into it. But who's going to pay big dividends? I think is going to be DK Metcalf.
One texter says it's going to end up like Denver when they got an old Peyton Manning, ball control.
It could defense. Be, but they won a Super Bowl with that.
Later, Peyton Manning, because when he first got there,
he won the MVP.
I think he set the touchdown.
Yeah, set the touchdown record.
So they were firing it all over the place for a while. But as his arm lost a little steam and he aged a little bit more, no question, they went with defense and ball control. I'm curious, will they bring in any of Aaron's dudes?
Probably not.
And how old are those guys now? Randall Cobb's got to be 76 years old now.
No, see, Pittsburgh is not that.
You don't think Alan Lazard has a bat signal?
Alan Lazard is the all-time.
He doesn't have a bat signal somewhere.
Alan Lazard couldn't prove it with the Jets. I can't see Pittsburgh saying, you know what, unless somebody gets injured, I can't see in Pittsburgh saying, you know what, we're bringing Alan Lazard. Wow, we just got DK Metcalf, and we got some young receivers here that we feel. That's one thing about Pittsburgh.
But that would be a first.
They'll find a receiver.
Those guys, right? But you're right. Pittsburgh has been known.
Yeah, they'll find a receiver. That's one thing that they will do. So don't count Pittsburgh out in regards to what they can do in their passing game because of an aging Aaron Rodgers and DK only being the only guy. But they got Freiermuth, and they got some young guys that I think will step up this year.
Matthew in Nashville, who is a noted Steelers fan, he has been texting us throughout this segment. Here are two of them. Tomlin and Art Rooney have literally staked their career reputations and dreams on Aaron Rodgers being successful in Pittsburgh. Then he says, I just want to know if there's any chance Mike Tomlin would do a news conference on ayahuasca. How do you think Mike Tomlin feels about darkness retreats? Do you think that he's into that?
I'm telling you, man, Pittsburgh, I would be surprised if I'd be surprised if any of this stuff like becomes anything of a story. Now there may be a reporter out there, journalist that want to make it a story.
He's going to say something on the Pat McAfee show this season that Mike Tomlin is going to have to answer for.
I'm
money.
Very predictable.
Yeah, I'm thinking that because if you look at it, I mean, the respect factor with Salah, there should be respect there always, but how much do you think he really was like, you know what? For Salah, I'm not going to say this. Nah, I think he would say it anyway. I think it was same in Green Bay. He would say it anyway. I think Mike Tomlin may be different. I think Pittsburgh may be different, where he may choose to hold his tongue with certain things. Why? Because I think Pittsburgh is one of those teams like, listen, our young guys follow what the older guys do. And if you're not doing all that stuff, like, we're not saying don't go on your show, but don't get in the trenches of what we're doing. Don't be, trying to circumvent things we're doing. Because if you don't do it, then our young guys feel they can't do it. But if you do it, then guess what? It's going to trickle down to the other guys. And I think there's enough respect. I hope there's enough respect that Aaron says, you know what? I respect the coach. I respect the organization. I'm not going to even do that. Yeah, I'm still going to Pat McAfee show, but I'm not going to, cause any headwinds by saying something outlandish.
615-737-1025. Aaron Rodgers officially back in the NFL, signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 615-737-1025. There was also some other interesting quarterback news in the AFC South yesterday that is Titans related, and we'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. 1025-1063. The Game. DMase Vanganadonic 1025 1063 the game. Connor New touching my emo heart there with a little My Chemical Romance. But during the break, I think Willie has now just been introduced to the escaped zebra. Chase and Big Joe have been tracking this all week.
I've been seeing all week.
Yes.
Okay, today is definitely my first day. Now,
Chase and Big Joe have been
earlier
tracking
today,
this all week.
I saw the clip, and it's only been one clip, and I was like, "Is that even real?" You know, because now we know you can sort of through AI and all
Yes.
those things, you can come up with a lot of stuff. But I was like, so you guys were filling me in little by little, and I'm exposed because I didn't listen to Chase and Joe talking about it. But what's the deal?
It's been spotted in Christiana, Tennessee. I
It's
believe
in
that is.
Murfreesboro area. Yeah, somewhere in the vicinity.
So here's the story from
Shelbyville?
here's the story from USA Today from a couple of days ago. In the days since its escape, the zebra has been spotted wandering around various neighborhoods and even wreaked havoc on a parkway near Interstate 24, located about 35 miles south of downtown Nashville in the city of Murfreesboro. Sightings of the zebra continued through the weekend, but it hasn't been seen since. As of June 2nd, the zebra remains at large.
How is this zebra?
It's still at large 4 days later.
everybody?
At large. So, I mean, today's
How is
June
the
1.
zebra evading everybody?
Okay. First of all, you could spot that zebra.
Yes.
It's easy to spot.
It actually has stripes, not spots.
You can stripes that zebra.
He can't hide.
Look at he looking at the camera like,
There he
What
is.
you looking at?
It's like, you can't catch me. But okay, how
What
did
if that's Eddie
how
Murphy?
did the zebra get here?
Boys.
I don't know how the zebra got here, but it was privately owned, I believe.
Okay.
So it wasn't escaping from the zoo.
Was there a connection to the Tiger King guy here?
There might be some loose connections. I wouldn't be shocked.
So what purpose did the zebra serve?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know.
Exotic
So it
animals.
wasn't
I guess
escape
they're-
from a zoo kind of thing.
No.
No, it
It
wasn't.
escaped from someone's backyard.
Exactly.
Okay. So for all we know, it could run down
Yeah,
Murfreesboro Road
Yeah,
outside
if
of
it
our,
made it that far. If
Can you
ain't nobody
imagine, can
caught
you
it.
imagine if the
He might
zebra
have just
showed
head
up?
on down Murfreesboro Road towards the airport. Maybe just need to catch a flight. Go back home. Like, where's he? Where's his
Yeah,
home
I don't
country?
know.
Like, how do I get? I need a flight. I need to go back home. I need to be with my people, my
Well,
friends, my family.
I don't. Yeah. How does this happen? I
Who's
don't
to
get it.
say? Who's to say?
Listen, but y'all need to find that zebra, okay? A bunch of pictures, but nobody has found it.
No.
All this damn technology, all these cameras, all this stuff, and y'all ain't found a damn
And-
zebra. It's only one loose zebra, so
Yeah.
it'll stick out like a sore thumb.
I have another question too. On hand in Nashville or Christiana or Murfreesboro, somewhere in the area, is there a phone number you call? Hey,
For
we've got to
missing
catch.
zebras.
We've got a zebra on the loose. We need you to catch it. Like I know, like it's one thing for like dogs and cats
Yeah.
in the neighborhood that are stray. We got to
Is McCruff is McCruff
Animal-
the crime
animal-
dog? The crime dog still
animal
available?
control,
Yeah.
right? But that's usually not for zebras. Like I don't know if you call animal control and you say you got a zebra, you think it's a crank call.
Yeah.
And then you call back and you're like, no, really, we have a zebra. I'm not really equipped to capture a zebra.
They
I
should
can
be.
find a cat.
Mhm,
I can maybe handle a raccoon
mhm.
or a stray dog.
So you don't think
But
there's a
zebra-
class that teaches them how to handle zebras?
So who's got the goods? Like, what would you bring? You need a big net,
Do you bring apples?
apple. Like, how do you attract
Yeah.
the zebra?
Do you bring in a referee?
We got to
Yeah,
do this
that.
safely.
Somebody that looks kind of like him?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
the
want to
zebra?
protect the zebra. We got to do this right. We need equipment.
Hey, have
Do
y'all
we
ever
have
seen-
that here?
No.
By the way,
you
his
know
na-
what can
his-
do
or
it?
is somebody on
his
the
name
road
is,
right now.
His name is Ed.
Okay,
Ed,
Ed.
okay.
Ed the zebra.
This is what they can do because I've seen this. They were doing like a prank though. What if they dress up like a zebra? Two people dress up like a zebra.
Like the kids in Jaws. When,
Yeah, like they did this,
Yeah.
the whole shark
yeah,
thing.
they had
Yeah,
the shark fin.
exactly.
Zebra aside, Anthony Richardson will not participate at the mandatory minicamp next week for the Indianapolis Colts. He missed all 3 offseason practices this week. He will be held out of minicamp next week. He aggravated the right shoulder joint he injured in 2023 and will be sidelined
Against the
for an
Titans.
undetermined length of time. Yes, Harold Landry with the hit on Anthony Richardson that injured that right shoulder joint 2 years ago and still dealing with it. According to ESPN, the news comes on the heels of Richardson approaching trainers after a practice last week and reporting soreness in the shoulder. After examination, doctors determined he suffered an aggravation of his AC joint, which Richardson sprained 5 weeks into his rookie season. That previous injury required season-ending surgery. This one won't, Shane Steichen said, but Richardson needs rest. So Richardson still feeling the effects of Harold Landry lowering the boom on him in a game 2 years ago.
Okay. He hasn't been doing a lot. I'm sure he's been lifting weights and stuff, but even quarterback, there are only certain things you do. You don't want to go in there and lift the gym. It's a lot of band work to make sure those joints are tight. So he's been doing all that. And then he gets into practice and now he needs rest. I mean, that just sounds odd to me because, okay, he needs rest, but is that fixing the problem? Because when he gets back on the field, is this going to occur again? You know, you're saying rest, like, okay, he needs rest, he'll be fine, but it's not like he's doing a lot now. So is he not going to throw anymore? Is he not going to lift weights? What is it? When you say he needs rest, what does he need rest from? Lifting weights, working out, and throwing? Or is it just throwing? What is it? Because it has to. Are you just shutting them down, period? Because that's the way it seems. When it comes to your shoulder, wouldn't that be a shutdown period? Like, we're not doing anything but rehabbing. I'm just looking at this like, this may end up being a bigger deal than not.
And this is a major setback for Anthony Richardson in his quarterback battle with Daniel Jones, the battle everybody is on pins and needles about.
Did I not say, I think I got laughed out of the studio the first time I brought up Daniel Jones is going to be on somebody's team going for, like when he was, I think, relegated to the third string for the Giants last year. I was like, you watch. They
basically told him
somebody's going to give him a chance.
He was taking scout team reps.
The zebra is in somebody's neighborhood.
There it goes.
You ever see the movie The Black Stallion when you were a kid? It's a classic movie. It's a great movie where the Black Stallion gets loose in the town and is just running and running.
I'm more of a fan of Homeward Bound when it comes to loose animals. Are you familiar with Homeward
I haven't
Bound?
seen that one.
Oh, okay.
I am familiar. Yeah.
Nevertheless, Mike says Levis to Indianapolis, better passer, no injuries.
Man, I can't see that happen.
Daniel Jones.
He does have injuries.
Daniel Jones is the.
He said Levis no injuries.
Levis has no injuries.
I remember the shoulder and the whole thing about I can throw, but I couldn't throw. And
yes,
he was making the throws in practice that I saw.
Then all of a sudden,
my arm was hurting in the game. Oh boy, that was injuries.
Yeah.
One texter says, remember the movie Madagascar? Maybe Eddie is wondering what it's like to go into the wild.
That's what I was thinking. Eddie Murphy.
Be a little Madagascar.
But Eddie Murphy was Donkey and Shrek. And Shrek.
But I was thinking of him with the
Shrek.
With the
Chris Rock played Chris Rock played the zebra.
But I was thinking of Eddie Murphy's voice on the
Madagascar
zebra.
is a good movie. It's good.
Someone says you can use a rope and horses to catch a zebra, just like at a rodeo.
Well, why haven't they? Okay, and they still haven't caught the zebra. Like,
Jared from Spring Hill says you can call Craig's dad from Friday.
Yeah, you're right. But he was only a dog catcher, man.
He was a dog catcher.
Yeah, he couldn't catch the zebras.
Call Debo.
I wonder what a zebra, like, somebody needs to, if you have the latest, like, photos or video of the zebra, please put them out. We need to see
that.
This.
Was from someone's ring cam.
I
think
was from a ring
saw
camera.
on TV.
There's more stuff that's going to come out now because people are going to go back and look through their ring cameras and they're going to see this old zebra just trotting down the street. If y'all saw a zebra like in your neighborhood, would you step outside or would you just watch it from inside the house?
I wouldn't approach the zebra.
I would step outside.
I would step outside, but not approach the zebra. I would not walk.
You think
up
the
to
zebra would bite you?
I don't know what a zebra intends to do.
Zebras don't look like they would bite someone.
You would think
I
that.
don't think like run you over. You know, if it were scared, probably.
But I wouldn't think it was coming like if it was a bear or something.
Right, not like that.
Exactly. But a zebra, unless I don't know something about a zebra that zebras are really aggressive.
The News Channel 5 helicopter caught the zebra on video today. Look at it.
Yeah, that's the one they keep on showing on television.
It's having the time of its life.
Want to go back home. I just want to go home.
It's having the time of its life. But the one thing about the Richardson injury, depending on how long he's out, if Daniel Jones is starting meaningful games for the Colts, I'm sure we'll get into this at some point soon. The whole worst to first thing in the NFL, it happens seemingly every year. We sort of touched on this a little bit ago, Derek, but we had like, what would the Titans need to do to go from worst to first? And many texters said, well, the other teams need to suffer injuries. So if Daniel Jones is starting games at quarterback, perhaps the Colts are ripe for the picking, at least for the Titans to move ahead of the Colts.
In theory, yeah,
In
because
theory.
You figure the last time you saw Daniel Jones, or everybody saw Daniel Jones, he was getting, benched and then relegated to third team, which means, yeah, we're going to cut you at the end of the season. And they were in the middle of the season when all that happened. So you would tend to think like, okay, if Daniel Jones ends up being the starter, then this can help the Tennessee Titans in regards to them moving up. But again, in theory, it could work. But, if you're no better as a team, then I don't care what's going on around you. You're still going to be a bad team, and you're still going to struggle to win games. So, yes, Indianapolis, yes, they're going through their Anthony Richardson thing and Daniel Jones, but we haven't heard anything, in Jacksonville with them taking steps back or them having major injuries. We haven't heard anything about Houston having major injuries. So the two top teams are still intact. It's just Indianapolis is trying to figure out this quarterback thing.
We have multiple texters who say that you should not approach a zebra.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
And according to Discover Wildlife from the team at BBC Wildlife Magazine, zebras also have very different temperaments to horses. They're far more aggressive and a lot more dangerous. Zebras have been known to kick each other to death. They will viciously bite any human that comes too close. And there are even many accounts of zebras killing lions.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't know any of that.
Yes.
But this is not a wild zebra anymore. So it was in somebody's backyard.
I mean,
how wild is that zebra? That's a domesticated zebra.
I don't think there is such thing as a domesticated zebra.
Hey, listen, that's
not a dog or a cat.
That zebra doesn't know about the wild. You think that zebra know about the wild?
It's having the time of its life.
It's not because it's the wild. It's because it ain't the wild. And he ain't got to worry about lions and all this other stuff. He just trotting along like.
What one texter said, they are also prone to having heart attacks and are best when they travel with a companion like a donkey. So maybe that. Yeah.
I never heard that.
We have donkeys around here, don't we?
So should we let the donkeys out now?
I was going to say, give them a buddy, and maybe the donkeys can kind of rein them in, just like run them to a certain designated area.
Can we find a donkey, bring in Eddie Murphy, have him pretend he's voicing Donkey, like from Shrek, and convince the zebra to come in?
I'm not sure if that worked.
Well, you can
if
also
you bring in Chris Rock.
Can we have like a shepherd donkey, almost like the sheepdog? Which I got to. When we went to Ireland, I actually watched a sheepdog for real. It's unbelievable to watch how he herds the sheep. We need that kind of thing. If it's donkeys that are comfortable with the zebra, we need a couple of donkeys to sort of herd them in.
But how fast does a donkey run? Because the zebra's pretty fast.
That guy, the zebra, Ed, can run.
Yeah, Ed can run pretty fast.
I'm even a bit skeptical when I go to the zoo, and my son likes the petting zoo area where you can brush a goat. And even though those goats are usually calm, I'm always a bit wary. Like, Arlo, please don't stand right behind the goat while you're brushing it so it doesn't kick you. So I would not approach a zebra in the wild. Apparently, some can kill lions.
But we're not in the wild.
But it's still a wild animal, even if it's not in the wild.
It's domesticated. It has nothing. It has no fond memories of the wild.
It might.
No, it doesn't.
Why is someone owning a zebra?
That's what I'm wondering.
Fair question.
Tells me it's not wild.
We need to get that guy on the show. Whoever owns the zebra, we need to have a conversation.
And does he know the Tiger King guy?
If he was bred, he got it from a breeding stable or whatever in Texas. You think that? How wild is that? That's not wild.
One texter says, my wife has been bitten by a zebra at a drive-through safari park. It was quite a scene. She was okay.
Safari park. Keyword. What's the keyword in that? Safari park. Where was that safari park at?
I don't know, but Willie might know this. There is a billboard in East Nashville for a safari park that I drive by all the time, by the Eastland Kroger. And I'm like, I never want to go to that place.
But where is the
safari park? Yes.
Somewhere in Tennessee, in a city.
There's no safari in Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying. It's a domesticated farm, okay?
It's a farm.
That's
not
what
a safari.
Exactly.
It's a safari.
615-737-1025. I guess we'll take your thoughts on the zebra, quarterbacks, whatever.
That's a
It's the end.
farmie.
It's the end of the week. 615-737-1025. We will take it to the bank. Coming up next, Willie Darnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063. The Game.
Here comes the money. And you can take that to the bank. Here
DMase, Vin, get a Donic, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company coming up next. But before we get to Jared, it's time to take it to the bank with F&M Bank. Business is complicated. Banking doesn't have to be. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. So we have a lot of texts about the zebra. We'll get back to the zebra, but let's make our picks first. Willie, why don't you kick us off for your pick for Take It to the Bank this week?
Okay. Can we make a prediction on the zebra?
Sure.
Will the zebra be in captivity
by Monday at 11 o'clock?
Friendly, wherever that is, by the time our show starts at Monday at 11?
No, I would say it needs to be. I think it will be captured by the end of today, by the end of the day period. Like he's going to be back where he needs to be by tomorrow.
By sundown tonight. Home tomorrow.
He'll be home tomorrow.
That's the
Yeah. So he will be caught by Saturday, which is
Should we
Friday
just do
today.
our picks on the zebra?
I mean, we can.
Let's do the picks on the zebra, and then we'll pick another game.
Okay.
Let's do Stanley Cup final.
Okay.
And the NBA final.
Okay. So, Willie, you say the zebra will be captured when?
He'll
be captured by our show on Monday?
That's too easy.
That's too easy.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be before that.
Okay.
Yeah. Over under.
The zebra will be at large by the time we come on the air. It will still be
Over
at large.
under.
You're saying he's still going to be at large.
Ed is going to have a great weekend.
Okay.
Ed is going to have a great weekend.
Ooh, man.
But there are going to be clips of him all over the place.
Exactly.
There have been, and they still haven't found. They still haven't captured him.
Is he trying to go to the safari park?
We've gotten a lot of texts about the safari park.
That, yes.
The safari park, we have studied up on this. I've never heard of this. I didn't know
Me
this was
either.
going on.
I never knew it existed.
Again, there is a billboard for it in East Nashville, not far from your house, that I pass all the time. And that's how I know.
So I say he will be caught by tomorrow.
I think he's going to be at large. Connor, what do you think?
I think he'll be at large too,
All
if
right.
not dead, unfortunately.
I
hope not.
He'll
They
be
bet
alive.
not.
He will be alive.
Yeah.
Ed will live.
He will be
Come on,
alive.
I believe in Ed. They have zebras at the safari park.
Yes, I know, and I'm sure Ed escaped from there.
I don't think he escaped from that safari.
I think that's where they were
he
taking
might be
him.
very happy there.
He's probably trying to get there.
Now, Derek, you're showing me a picture of
Yes.
a little girl taking a picture with a
Exactly.
zebra who's sticking its head through the car window.
Yes.
And he thinks this is proof that zebras are friendly. We don't know the
Exactly.
aftermath of that picture.
It's food right there. The zebra's eating it.
They could have snapped the picture, chomp. Like, we
I
don't know.
I hope no one was harmed during the filming of this zebra and little girl together. I
Well,
hope
we
no
will.
one
We
was
will.
harmed.
I know that Chase and Big Joe have been following this story very closely, so I'm sure we will have an update on
But
Ed.
have they talked about the safari park though?
They have not
Because
talked about the safari
at the
park.
safari park, which is in Alamo, Tennessee, which
Yes.
I didn't know where this was. So it's west. It's like near somewhere around Jackson,
Mhm.
Tennessee.
Yes.
Children 1 and under
Ooh.
can get in for free.
Hold on. Stop. How old's your
One-
kid? She's 9 months.
She's
No, she's not.
11
No,
months.
She's a year old. I see it.
She's over here. I saw on your Instagram you
Uh-huh.
had the first birthday party. $16, please.
Oh man,
I swear she hasn't had a birthday yet.
People.
She gets it free.
Oh
This,
man. All right. So let's
hurry up, pick the games because
All
I
right.
want to
Okay.
get back to these
Okay.
animals.
Let's go to the Stanley Cup
Okay.
final. Game 2 tonight. Florida at Edmonton. 7:00 start. I believe we are bringing that game to you live right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. I am going to take the Florida Panthers to tie the series. According to the NHL, the Panthers' run of 3 straight Stanley Cup final appearances began with a rally from a series deficit, something they have done 4 times in 11 rounds since 2023. So I think the Panthers will indeed even the series tonight, sending it back to South Florida, tied at 1.
I'm going to go with the Oilers tonight. I think they're going to do it again, and I think Florida will get back in the series after the phenomenally long road trip from Edmonton down to Sunrise,
Yep,
Florida.
two days off between games 2 and 3.
I'm picking the Panthers. I think Bobrovsky I think his save percentage was a lot better. I think they pelted him 40 some times, and Skinner it was less than that. I just think that Bobrovsky steps up this game. They don't score more than 2 goals, meaning Edmonton.
Oh,
So he shuts them down. They don't score more than 2 goals, and the Panthers win.
Connor?
Are we all just picking this game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll
We'll keep
go
it simple.
I'll go with the Oilers as well. I think Connor McDavid has a big day. I think Leon Draisaitl has activated himself at the right time. First 2 times he's ever scored in the playoff in a year. So I'll take the Oilers.
Okay. Hey, Blake is on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. He wants to talk about Ed the Zebra. Hello, Blake.
Hey, y'all are thinking it's from the safari. It's not. It's a family of 3 zebras out of Smyrna.
But why do they need I assume that this is just a family who likes zebras. Why do they need zebras?
I don't know. That is one animal you shouldn't have.
Exactly.
Thank you, Blake. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me why you would want to own a zebra. I mean, one texter said that there. Let's see if I can find it. Mike says there's a flea market one Friday every month. I would say the first or the last of the month in Lebanon, where you can buy exotic animals. I know a guy 5 minutes from my house. He's got a couple exotic animals.
Why? Man,
Like
let
At the flea
let
market?
those kids, let those animals, let them go in their habitat, man. Like, gosh, I hate that. But listen, they got gazelles here. They got alpaca. They got axis deer. They got bison,
if
black
you're
bucks.
listening, we do you want to do a remote from the Tennessee Safari Park?
It'd be a long ride.
Yeah, that'd be a long ride. I mean, if they put us up in a nice hotel, then yeah, we can go spend the night there, do the show the next morning. Black wildebeest. We got Brazilian tapir. We have what else? Red kangaroo, great kangaroos.
I mean, we have a nice zoo right here in
Yeah,
town.
an excellent zoo.
We got white bearded wildebeest. I don't think I've ever seen a white bearded.
What is the most exotic animal that someone should be allowed to own? Like
a snake?
I was gonna say snake.
Yeah, that's it.
Ferret.
People with ferrets are weird, man.
My roommate in college.
I know.
Hall.
I knew
if
a
you're
guy
a
who had
Vanderbilt
ferrets.
basketball fan that can go back. My roommate Dan Hall, a really really good player. Played professionally for a while after he was done at different places in Europe. He had a ferret our senior year.
Oh, that's bad.
And how did that go?
The ferret had a little odor to it.
Yeah, I'm sure it
Just a
did.
little bit, not too bad. But
My suite mate, no, he wasn't my suite mate. He lived across the hall. He was a gymnast, and I remember he came in. He was a freshman like us, and my roommate and I walked into his room one day. He was a cool dude from Jersey too. We ended up riding home with him one day to Jersey, where my good friend is from. He ended up riding home, worst ride ever. But we did it in the wintertime, didn't have no heat, and that's why it was the worst ride ever. But we went to his dorm room, mind you, and we look at this big aquarium. And guess what's in this huge aquarium?
An eel.
No,
a stingray.
An alligator. That thing was about from tail to head. That thing was about 3 feet long.
That's a no.
We're like, dude, why do you have an alligator? He was just that type of dude.
No,
he wasn't at that university for long. Though. He wasn't the student nor the alligator.
No,
neither one of them.
My in-laws recently moved to Florida, and in Florida, alligators, they just roam the streets.
They do.
And people are just like, all right, that's cool.
That's one reason I don't live there. Can't deal with alligators, man.
Matthew in our text line says that Jared has to do the show with us if we go to the safari park.
Should we?
I don't think Jared would be down with that. I don't think he'd want to do that.
No.
So what are you saying? Should we let Jared loose in the safari?
Survivor?
Exactly.
Could Jared survive in the safari park?
Safari.
He'd be like Michael Scott in that episode where they strand him in the wilderness and he cuts his pants off to make him into shorts.
One texter says there is nothing in Alamo but the park, but the sister from my 600-pound life did get arrested there last year and made the news. LOL.
I've never seen that. Sister of my 600-pound.
You know what? One of my guilty pleasure shows used to be Naked and Afraid. Are you familiar with this program?
I'm familiar with it.
I've not watched it.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do it.
No, I couldn't do it either.
I would be both naked and afraid.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But I would do just like, what was the Survivor? I would do some. I'm not sure if I think I would be out the minute they had to start eating bugs. I was like, all right, it's a wrap for me. Either that or I'm not eating anything.
I'm just looking forward to this weekend. Some new drone footage of Ed the Zebra, and there's going to be Derek Mason creeping up behind it.
Hey, we're catching Ed. I'm catching Ed.
Ed,
just so I can win the bet.
We're coming for you.
We're coming for you, Ed.
Ed will be happy in a happy place by Monday when we get back.
I sure hope
He will
so.
be caught by the end of by 12 o'clock tonight. He will be caught.
DMase
All right.
says by sundown tonight.
Yes.
Derek will see to it personally.
Yes.
That Ed is.
Ed, we're gonna send you to the safari park.
Vacation.
Ain't no damn safaris in Tennessee, but we're gonna send you to that one.
Andrew wants to make sure that he asks Ed, find out if Ed can play edge rusher. That'll do it for us this week. Ed, have fun, bud. Stillman and Company coming up next.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, wonderful Friday. And we getting you. We're gonna catch you, buddy. Peace.